There we go. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. I'm here with Yule. How are you, Yule?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
I mean, any time. I always love talking with you, and it's always we have some comic shop discussion, and that's always fun. And we were just saying, I asked you how your week was. How was your week?
Oh, it was pretty good. We had some pretty brisk sales. I had customers that hadn't been in since we moved, since the pandemic. It feels like there's a lot more people willing to come out of the house, and you can definitely see it on the freeway for sure.
Yeah, I'm noticing the traffic start. That's great. I wanted to thank everybody who came here today. It's the Friday before 3-day weekend, so hopefully you all have some pretty good plans and good things are going to happen. We're going to have a good comic shop discussion today.
Yeah.
So okay, brisk sales. What was moving out of your shop?
Let's see. DC does pretty well for us. And I had a lot of, well, it wasn't that necessarily anything this week was moving, although, I'm pretty tight when I'm doing my ordering. So by the time we've gotten to Ascend or whatever issue it's on now, I pretty much know I'm not ordering many for the shelf, if at all.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of longer running titles like that. Like if I'm going to get somebody into the series, it's all trades now. Very rare is the person that will buy the third trade and then start going on to the issues. But every once in a while, there's a title that's like that, and those are special.
Are any of the big events? So we have a couple. What is going on right now? We got Heroes Reborn. How's that doing for you?
Heroes Reborn. So I still have the first issue, and by the second and third, which I had to have like the same numbers because I couldn't adjust them yet, I was starting to get a little worried, but again, I was trusting my numbers because I ordered it according to what Avengers fans, get polls and how many of those I can sell off the shelf. So I knew I might eat a few of these, and definitely when it comes to the side stories, there's a major potential for that. Yeah. But as far as the main series is concerned, I actually think I might have cut a little too hard come the later issues.
Oh, okay.
So the adjustment might have been, you don't have enough time to make an adjustment on something weekly is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. This whole event will be done. Do you like this weekly shipping business or
no? There's not really much I can say I can back it up for all the reasons, but I think ultimately, if I was going to say this was a 7-month series, would I feel like I've got my money's and time's worth? Like, forget money. Let's just, whatever. I bought it. Okay. Yeah. But now I've invested all this time over 7 months. I think I wouldn't have got a very good story, but if it's weekly, you can kind of sneak it through. So a lot of people, I try not to crap all over the people working on it, because the new issue that came out has James Stokoe artwork. It's a kind of fun story, but it doesn't really mean anything a few months from now, really, when it comes down to it.
It's painful. Did you, I believe this entire event you had to order before it hit the shelves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gotta be, that was always rough for where they were double shipping stuff, but you still had at least some tail to get some numbers on. But this is, do you think I've heard we're going to get a lot more of these compressed events.
Well, Marvel has done it to some success, I guess, those Avengers books. And I don't know, maybe like the hotness of some of the things like Immortal Hulk kind of like kept it in the secondary market. So people were kind of still hot for some of those Avengers runs. But again, I just feel like a weekly series. We saw it with X-Men. Yeah. It just felt, and then they pull this stunt where they'll have a giant sized after that. Yeah, we're going to get back on a monthly schedule, but I'm going to have all these other books in between. You never took a break. Come on.
Well, again, thank you very much after a busy week to join me. And we are live. It's not pre-recorded, so there are some questions here. We'll get to those. But I did want to really promote out. So Yule.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's my old store.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll tell everybody else.
Yule Carter, who does have a YouTube channel over there, so we have criminally low subs. We got to get people over there and subbing to your channel.
Yeah, everything's Fantastic Comics.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little Tuesday show. It's live. It's off the cuff. I usually have some things I forget to talk about later on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Joe on. It was a spur of the moment ask to get him because I wanted to talk Red Room with him, and I wanted to talk about like what my Red Room would maybe be, and I totally forgot.
Oh no!
So maybe someday.
Yeah, well, okay. We should do that. It's please go head over there and give him a subscribe, and he's got great stuff, and it's good retailer stuff. So always amazing.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
How did so we got a couple of questions here. How did the anthology, the Asian Celebration comic, do?
I sold out, and mostly. So I have certain people that will buy anything DC, and certain people will buy anything superhero. And then I had all the rest that came in were either a regular customer or somebody that actually didn't come into comic stores normally that was Asian. And I did well on it.
They actually promoted this one better. Outside of kind of the usual comic shop customers, they had put it in. I mean, at least I don't know. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, it was in, I think The Stranger actually put an ad there, and a couple places actually promoted it outside the normal comic channels, which I think helped.
Mm-hmm. Darth Bobcat asked, sold out 550, 500. Well, definitely not 500. It was, I think, a $10 book.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was returnable. And if it was, like, I think that whatever they're calling it, their new Infinite Frontier, they're going to have like a side issue, and they're making that returnable, and it's like $10. So I'm willing to order a few more of those.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and I have a much smaller store now, or a smaller profile. You take a look at if you take a look at what you're seeing on your screen right now. Oh my gosh. Just like, it's like a sliver of it. Oh, and, but we have it downstairs where we have back issues. So, it's fun. I ordered probably like 12, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not inflating my numbers, but, like I said, I know who is going to buy what. And then I know I wanted to have a little extra because of, it's a good book to have. Those they stand, what are they, evergreen if you can keep them in stock. It can always be handed to somebody. It's not going to be anything too wild or too violent. It's just going to be a nice little story featuring the characters, and they all happen to be Asian. And funny enough, a lot of people that come in the comic store happen to be Asian. And sometimes they're not even normally coming in the comic store, like in the case of this book.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it sold out. That's good, especially for a higher ticket volume book.
Oh yeah,
good. I don't have a review of Yule's shop, but I'll go down there and hang out.
Oh my gosh,
get on a plane to do it. I will absolutely do that.
Cool. I mean, it'll be fun to hang out. I mean, for sure.
Yeah, well. How's High Republic doing?
Again, same situation. It's an offshoot of a Star Wars. So a gentleman that I order Scholastic and like he's a kind of a rep for Scholastic and NBM and all this other stuff, a guy named Tony Shenton. He kind of like imparted his wisdom that like if you have Amazing Spider-Man and that's your core Spider-Man title and you're selling 100 of it, let's say, and then you start a new Spider-Man title, you probably are going to settle into about half of what you're selling of that. And when you get to your Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, and then it's a High Republic, I'm really ordering for those people that get Star Wars Adventures also. Gotcha. Maybe a few more, but selling out though, for sure.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, but before we get some other credit, we're just peppering you with questions. Sorry about that.
All right. No, I love it.
Are you drinking anything tonight? I
am. There's a local brewery in San Leandro, and it's called Drake's. Okay. And I have a Denogonizer right here, and then nice. I have a Jameson's, and I can refill anytime.
Excellent.
And some water. Yeah.
I've got some Kona beer here, which I really like, but it's very light. So, but it goes down really smooth. It's a beer kind of night, so it's different. Yeah. All right, what do we got here? We got some other stuff. Everybody's wanting to know. Good to see you. people accusing us of this being a taped stream. Okay. How about the Stargirl special? How did that do?
Did not sell out of it yet. It only just came out on Tuesday.
Yep.
I expect it will, but again, it's like a $7, $8, $9 book, so I couldn't just buy a lot. Todd Knock, very solid artist, but he's not bringing anybody to the yard usually. It's all Stargirl. So I heard her television show was pretty good. And Jeff Johns loves that character, and people love Jeff Johns, so I hear.
Yeah.
So I expect, again, a book that I can set up on my spinner rack just above the dollar comic books.
Yep.
And I can pull it out to somebody, boy or girl, young adult, probably even younger, knowing that stuff. And but the thing about the Stargirl special is it does have the introduction to the Justice Society. So you 50-plus-year-old out there,
you're just handing Humble's jokes at this point. No, I have a feeling that book's gonna, when the news gets out there, not a lot of people are reported on that it kind of works out the Justice Society. So.
Yeah, and it's Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch doing the art. Yeah. So
we hope. Anyway, yeah.
That's a best foot forward, hopefully.
For at least one issue. All right. How about Yara Fleur? We'll keep answering these questions as we go, but we'll move some other stuff. How'd Wonder Girl #1 do?
All right. So Wonder Girl definitely sold out. I ordered enough for some of the incentive covers.
Yep.
I read this at home because I have the shipment sent to my home, and then I take it to the store over the weekend. And I read Wonder Girl, and I never do this. I tweeted about how much I enjoyed it, and 20 people liked it. That never happens. But it is such a perfectly well-crafted story. I love the introduction of the character, the character in concept, in action, and then the hook for the next issue, along with all the threat that's unveiling itself as the issue plays out. And I think it's really perfect. And I sold it on my name, on my recommendation, and I haven't had anybody say anything bad about that yet. And some of the people that I really targeted really enjoyed it and are now on board 100%. So. And I was able to reorder it before. I'm assuming it's going to sell out first print style. So I'm going to got more coming in.
It's off to a good start. It was a solid issue. I thought it, but it didn't. It should have been double sized, don't you think, or something like?
Oh, it would have been
one or.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I didn't feel like I was cheated out of any money.
Yeah,
and that. I wanted more, and I think that doesn't usually happen in comic books too much these days. So I'm gonna just call it a win.
yeah. I mean, take the little wins, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what do we got here? We're looking at June. I'm curious to get your take on this. So we get to other questions. We'll go through the comics coming out next week and everything else. But June. Looks like about 454 comics. Here's how it kind of breaks out. People are curious what Marvel's doing, what DC's doing. You just saw the solicitations for DC, right?
Yeah.
Were you? So DC is rapidly getting very close to Marvel in terms of volume.
Yeah, they are. Marvel's. It seems like they've shrunk a bit, and DC is increasing. At least, as we've seen. Mini series like crazy from both companies.
A lot of very short-term stuff. It's pretty crazy. I mean, here we're looking at June, and you see Marvel at 62 comics are putting out, DC at 44. But I think, and I need to put up the numbers, I think Marvel only had one more comic in August than DC.
Wow.
Which means they've almost equaled, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Marvel, I wonder. Well, they've contracted, right? Some of their titles, or they've delayed them, and I think without knowing anything, because I don't really do that whole conjecture thing when it comes to like the parent companies. It seems like they're trying to have some big stuff. So when they go Penguin Random House.
Oh yeah.
So
that's clear. Yeah.
This could be, I mean, with everything that we haven't seen Marvel put out, this probably could easily be 90 titles.
We'll call it here. I believe that in October, that first month, Marvel will be over 90 books.
Wow.
And they're lining up. There were all these hint announcements from Donny Cates and Ram P and today around Marvel titles that they're going to be announcing. And all this stuff would be geared toward October, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
It's Inferno should be out in October as well from Hickman, and it's just so much. But anyway, crazy amount. So I thought this picture is kind of nuts to kind of contemplate here. We still have, in August, we're going to have over 500 books. Absolutely, we are. Yes.
I like the stores that are able to have, Zenoscope and Vault and
sure,
and some of the other ones, but I'm a lot more picky. Like the Dynamite titles for the shelf, maybe like 3 of those are going to make it to the shelf.
Yep.
I think I'm pretty much done with Scout and maybe Vault. Like I try, but this new Vault book that has the guy that does Doctor Doom and Iron Man, I think I've only sold like a copy of that, but maybe it will pick up steam.
It's hard to get a foothold in this, and that's one of those things you noticed with kind of fan comments as well, is that they, we're very still fixated on Marvel DC. And so even the people who are upset with Marvel and DC, they don't like that content, they won't go to the indies, and they still do the comics of those two, maybe Image in there as well. And it's like, if you're, I don't know, if you're Black Mask, what are you doing to just what are you doing? Is it just one question about
they should put all their money into just one book and put it out, like pay Jamal Eichel to do the whole book, and just make it as badass as you possibly can. Get a guy get a veteran that knows how to write a story and really craft a story. Like, you have an idea, get your buddy to be like the story idea and make this guy like I don't know, like when I think about people that are really good writers that have done a lot of corporate stuff, a guy like Joe Casey comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
And he's got his own stuff and he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. So it's probably not even a get anymore. But if I was going to just spend money on one person, that would be a person,
Speaking of Joe Casey, I think he's we're lining up to do an interview in the next 2 weeks. So
all right. Well, you remind him that he still owes me something.
Okay. How about this? You Murder This Guy wants to know, what's your secret to being so likable?
I think so. I can, and that's like, really, come on, give me a break. So I have an ability to run really hot and come down really quick. And after that happens, at least in my mind, it's all okay.
Yeah.
And if the other person can get past that, usually we have a pretty good relationship, but a lot of times some of my best friends are people who both they and myself hated each other up front. I'm like, oh man, this person is a mega douche. And they were thinking the same thing about me, but probably with, worse words.
Yeah.
And, laughing and, speaking your mind and being honest, I think is, I try to do that. I mean, there's been some things that I've done as a comic store owner, my partner, my business partner, when it came time to, I don't know, like finally sealing the deal.
Yep.
I had put so much like what I never thought I would even care, because like I'm such a sit under the tree and let the world revolve around you, type thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be a hippie, I don't want to own
you're in Berkeley, so
yeah. Well, I mean, it helps. I mean, it's where I was always destined to be.
Yeah. Nice.
But it's funny because like I'm such a hothead also. So I'm like angry young man that's still 50.
I can relate to that,
I don't know. It just be as honest as you can. But like I said, like my business partner, I just kind of was like, sweat equity. I don't know if I agree with our deal that we were talking about. And so that changed our relationship.
It's tough. I mean, part of being a retailer is you kind of have to be somewhat mellow. I mean, at some point you can't be that crazy person.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Speaking of Savage Dragon.
Yeah. All right, we'll get there. But hey, you mentioned this. Yeah, yes, I think late summer. I'm close. I'm bringing on a business partner as well because I have a couple other things I'm going to wind up doing that kind of fell into my lap. But yes, late summer. Everything. I don't know. Did it seem like everything just dramatically just started opening up in the last 2 weeks?
Oh yeah. What happens is when you see your first real traffic jam.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're asking yourself, oh, why are we stopped here?
Yeah, it's weird. I went into the grocery store a couple days ago, and like half the people in the store were not wearing masks, and it was weird to see it after a year plus. And it didn't. And this is Seattle area. It's like magically everything is just opening up. So it's pretty crazy. I don't know, but yes, I will put some information about the comic shop up for sure. Give it to Mumble so you can break some windows. Absolutely. And we will do some nice things. So anyway, yeah, Savage Dragon. So next week, this is a really light week, this coming week. Is it? I think because of Memorial Day. Probably. Yeah.
Calm before the storm, probably.
I mean, so 69 comics next week. Yes. People in the chat. 9. And weirdly, down 69 from the previous week. So it's double 69 we have next week. So, yeah.
It's funny how the issues always come out the way they do.
It
seems like, do they plan it that way? I mean, it always seems, with the way things get delayed, they can't ever really plan for things to come out at the same time. But a lot of times it just happens that way.
It does. It's kind of a weird week where DC has a few more comics coming out next week than Marvel in kind of this weird universe. But the funny part is almost a third of the titles are all number one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. when you have 5 and 7 issue miniseries, they have to have number ones coming out.
Now, Savage Dragon is the highest numbered comic by a like 100 issues or more stretch. So, how does Savage Dragon do in your shop?
I only order it for myself.
Oh no.
No. Well, there has been a few times when I've ordered it, but it was like the Kamala I always have a hard time saying it, Kamala, and Joe covers, and then the reprints and. I think there was like an anniversary issue 250 where it had like Liefeld and other people doing covers. So I definitely ordered on those, but people usually ramp up towards those issues and then they fall off pretty quick. I find it like with Spawn, it happens that way. That's the reason why back issues are as expensive as they are right now.
People don't quite Spawn and good news for people who've been wanting the Spawn numbers analysis. I think Monday, Tuesday, it will be out. I've been promising it for like more than a month. 300 plus issues is not insignificant. And some of those issues came out in a weird time where for the first, I think 12 issues or so, the numbers, you have to scramble from different places to get it. So it was a bit of a trick. But Spawn has wild swings up and down. And I think it's kind of what you're saying. They'll do some event or anniversary issue or something, and then it will trail off. And that seems to be pretty consistent with that book.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in the chat who love Spawn for sure. But
look, everybody loves Spawn. I've had so many customers over the course of my lifetime come in after a long break, say how much they love Spawn. And, they're either here to like sell me their Spawn or they want to start recollecting it. You're gonna, it's those kind of people.
Yeah.
But when you're selling your Spawn to a store,
Yeah.
the 26th issue and on are the most important as far as I'm concerned.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's what you made. Spawn is, and for people in chat, and I'll take a photo to prove it. I have all the issues of Spawn. I've got a full.
Whoa.
So I like chains just fine. I've got the full set. But there's some expensive back issues in there, and it's because of these wild swings in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, I always I can go through my back issues here at home, and I usually pick up if I'm inclined, I'll get the bicentennial or the centennial issues, is what I call them. Yeah. So 25, 50, 75, 100, and I squirrel them away back when I was an employee. Actually purchase them. Yeah. And then now here I am a store owner, and I'm slapping a higher price tag on these Spawns that I wish I would have made the effort to have all the other ones, but I always buy them from people when they come in. It's a very valuable book. I always say Spawn sells. It might be not a lot, but it will sell.
How about the Zeus versus Bio? Bophades?
I don't know, man. Is that a real book? Is that an Aftershock book? It sounds like an Aftershock book. Or maybe Zenoscope. They kind of are similar sometimes. Tell me more, you Iron, and I'll be happy to. I can't remember that one. And you don't want me to type and try and talk at the same time.
Yeah, no, for sure. In here. All right. What else we got? Okay, so the actual comics out this week. This coming week. Again, it says
all right.
It's a quieter week. All right. So, a handful of things. Anything on this jump out at you that's going to move well in your store?
All right. So Serial is Terry Moore, who did Strangers in Paradise. I definitely get that. Aftershock, it's another company. It's just I've tried so many times, but with the exception of maybe that Dave Lapham book, it didn't really sell a whole lot. This is Paul Jenkins or Peter Milligan, I think. Peter Milligan. And
Milligan, I think.
Yeah. All right. So I ordered that. So I'm hoping that might do well. Buffy, I order for polls only. Beasts of Burden, small numbers. No, nothing here is a big. Worst Dudes. Is that the Aubrey Sitterson book? I think I ordered that because there's a returnability. That's about it. What a boring list.
Yeah. This is not the most exciting part of the whole.
Beast of Burden is solid, people. How am I gonna, Stray? All right, so Stray Dogs is one of the best titles that's coming out this year, and I can't get a lot of people to buy an animal book. And Beast of Burden, every time it comes out, Evan Dorkin and his artist that he's working with, not named Jill, those are always good too. But again, animals and, it's good though. But, it's not high numbers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Evan.
That's the problem. No, that's absolutely true. All right. What do we got?
Do a dork again. If you get a bitch, do it in a comic book. It's like you used to do.
How about this? Should they release trades of the Eternal? Well, I mean, obviously they should, but what do you have any buzz for Eternals in your shop right now?
Oh, geez. I'm selling Eternals pretty well in this store.
Just the ongoing, right?
Pardon me? The ongoing,
yeah.
That's Kieran Gillen and Issad Ribic, and those are good creators. And I have sold Wicked and the Divine. And although it's tough to get people to read a book like that and then a superhero book, I am getting a lot of crossover anyway. So Eternals is doing pretty good. As far as the movie, everybody says it looks boring. I'm sorry, I didn't watch the trailer.
Yeah, it's okay. If I was people standing around and there's a quippy joke at the end.
Okay, very good. I've laughed like it's a Disney movie. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, the funny thing about Disney movies, and there's all this speculate like this one's going to be the bomb. It's like, a bomb, not the.
Yeah.
Nobody says the bomb anymore. But anyway, it's I mean, sure, it's also Disney, and they will dump crazy marketing money off this, and people are bored and will go see a movie. I mean, that like Ryan has said in the past with some of the reviews, it's with Marvel's a very safe entity for movies. You kind of know what you're going to get to some extent. So if you show up and you watch it, you're going to get pretty much what you paid for, and you're probably not going to get an amazing movie, but you're going to get something that'll entertain you, whatever. And so it becomes a very safe pick. And as long as they keep that going, I don't know, they're going to make money even no matter what happens.
We'll never get that first Iron Man. We'll never get that first Avengers, and we'll never get that first Ant-Man back again. And
that's right.
It's like Ant-Man shouldn't have been good, but it was. The Avengers was the culmination of, these characters getting together. And then Iron Man was their first movie. And whether there's other movies that are better than that really doesn't matter. That's it. They blew their wad. And now we're going to get the Eternals. And I'm sure it will do fine. Whatever metrics they're going to use to qualify it as a success, I'm sure they will. But, who cares about the Eternals?
I do think there's a major problem here in I don't think this people bring up the Guardians of the Galaxy point, like, it's going to be a shock hit like that. I don't see that happening with this one, but I think it will make money. I mean, it's just, the MCU is just this kind of treadmill of cash where you're like you said, you're not going to get those big moments, but at the same time, they're just going to keep crapping them out. I don't mean that as negative as it probably sounds.
No, it's true. Oh my gosh, movies. Everybody wants to talk about. So there was a time when I wanted to write, and I really wanted to write comic books, and then I realized that was really stupid. And then I just wanted to be, highfalutin and just do books. But I came back to comic books. But this movie stuff is never anything I ever, living in LA, or LA County, I should say. Everybody, the first thing anybody thinks about when you say you want to write, it's like TV or movies. And realizing our comic books in movie form, to qualify for something that the masses are going to enjoy, they are going to pervert our small little group of comic book community, and when it bleeds back into comic books, oof, you've made a success the thing that you aren't appreciating anymore. So stop sticking with Marvel and DC, and maybe check out Everfrost by Black Mask Comics. But they're trying to make that into a movie too, I'm sure.
No, absolutely. How about, so DC has been putting, I mean, they did their relaunch, and somebody asked earlier, how's DC doing in general? Like, it was since Infinite Frontier, since they've been putting stuff out, is it bigger than it was, smaller than it was? Where is it about the same? Where does it sit?
I've been pushing my I've been loosening my belt a little bit more on Batman. Main Batman book. All this time during the pandemic, I've been keeping it tight, but there were a few incentives that allowed me the opportunity to purchase more, knowing that I'll make money, and then anything I have left over won't have just been waste, and definitely won't have been a strain on my belt, or my money belt. So now my Batman sales are larger than they were, and I appreciate that. And It's allowing me to, I don't know, maybe take a chance on other things. I was late to the party on the 0 Point, so I am ordering heavy on it, going forward. But things like Justice League, Green Lantern, let me see what else is here. Mainly the main titles. They sold well in the first issue, but the second issue lull is real, and it's already starting to even out come the third and fourth issues of a lot of things. Batman's the highest one.
Excellent. So, well, I mean, it's got to be excellent because I mean, come August, we've got Batman. Like
Well,
25 to 30% of the titles are Batman. So,
well, again, it's the same thing. The main Batman title is the big one. Detective's doing really well for me, but I don't order it near as many numbers as I do the main title. And each one, Batman, Superman, first issue did well. It's a lot lower than Detective is. And, even when something like The Detective is really good, or I feel it's really good, and I tell people about it, I'm not going to order it as heavy as I am Detective, the second book, and it's this little game that you're playing. Like, I finally read Batman Second Son, the first two issues. And personally, I think those were really good. I enjoyed those a lot more than the Future State issues because I was actually being able to know who these characters were. And I don't feel like I got that with the other one. But again, it's another Batman book. And I thought this was the dude who was supposed to take over the Bruce Wayne role. And it's all, I understand everything could be happening all at the same time, but it's kind of confusing.
yeah.
I could just read it and enjoy it, but if you want me to really care, really care.
Do you remember you remember this moment, right? That when comic shop there was a time in the 80s when comic shops were putting out their own comics. Do you remember that?
I remember Golden Apple did.
Yeah.
Dude, that dude had like adult actresses doing signings, and a Cinemax lady did the Flaxen book with him, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect lead-in for the next page here, since we've hit the Dynamite moment of this.
Someone needs to remake Flaxen.
Yeah. There you go. So speaking of Dynamite, it's kind of an off week, but
all right.
You mentioned
yeah.
How do you order these for the shelf? Like, is this going to bring people? They're like,
All
right, how does this do on your shop?
All right. So I try and maybe a cosplay one, and maybe either the super hottest cover, which is usually the main one, or the most tasteful cover. Okay. So those are the three that I usually go for. And knowing Dynamite, there's 17 different versions. So like if Campbell does a cover, it's usually going to be okay, and it's going to be hot, so I'll get that. But if it's a cosplay and it's just, I don't know, it's going to be a little too much for the shelf, I don't usually get it. But I want to let everybody know, Invincible Red Sonja #1 was an excellent Red Sonja comic book. I thought the art was good. It was sexy, but not gratuitous. And Moritat, I've never really been like, he's good, but never like the biggest fan. But his action and violence in that issue was so good. I really enjoyed it. And,
it's a solid book. Yeah.
Yeah. So get that one and get the Lisner cover, because his stuff is he's next leveling it. Like, I don't think I enjoyed him as much back in the Cry for Dawn days as much as I am on his covers right now. And I think he's doing excellent work.
Yeah, I agree. No, it is. We've seen several weeks now of Dynamite kind of focusing on the T part of the TNA. And, this is we've got to return to form, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? It's all good. Okay.
The Vampirella. Those are, oh my God. Do you remember going the Booth Babes, the Vampirella Booth Babe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was so cold there.
That would never be, well, yes, the convention halls were usually very chill. I used to go to a lot of the gaming conventions, and it was amazing how that was just a key part of the business up until it suddenly wasn't, with all the companies simultaneously.
It's funny about that. Yeah. Holy cow, this list is really bad also.
Tell us how you actually feel. Yeah.
This is oh my gosh. Xenoscope. We're that early on the Xenoscope. Oh no.
Yeah.
I hope there's a Fantagraphics book.
Yeah. There's only 4 this next week. It's a small, it's a 69 kind of week.
Oh, but I'll tell you what, Family Tree, that's the last issue of the Jeff Lemire comic book, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And that's the last issue of the arc for the Firepower also, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
God, yeah, man, Deadly Class still going on. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah. It's no, it's a weird week. Yeah. So you just had a good week. You're looking at this and are you kind of assessing what next week's going to look like?
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Sorry, guys.
Welcome to Depression Hour.
No. But like I said, like I know X amount of people get Family Tree, X amount of people get Firepower. The key is, right now, can I make money on what I ordered? The DC and the Diamond shipment. And then do I have enough other things that I'm getting in? Like this doesn't count trade paperbacks and stuff like that also. Do I have those coming in to support, the slow and Noctera is coming out. That's a big book. So
okay.
There's a few books
here on this. What you got? North Force #0, Savage Dragon, for our friends up in Canada.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get any of those, bub. I just got the Savage Dragon one.
Noctera is going to be the big seller on this page, right?
Right. It got hid there for a second. I was getting a little worried. Yeah. Oh my God, did I order Midnight Sky 8?
How's Commanders in Crisis? And the reason I'm asking, up here, that book was so many retailers ordered so big on issue 1. Like there was a really high orders, and a lot of the my friends and some other shops up here have commented how this one has been the biggest drop from #1 to where they are now in terms of sales. Or how did it do in your market?
All right, so I read Commanders in Crisis issue 1, and it wasn't the gay kiss between the fireman and the superhero that insulted my intelligence. That was just something that happened. It was the fireman and the superhero talking about how important they were to what they do. And it was just so heavy-handed. I personally did not like it. And Steve Orlando, man, see, this is just a real thing. I don't really enjoy his stories. I find them kind of like boring and nothing really happens. Like there was this one, I always bring it up, this Justice League of America storyline that he was doing. He was using that Grant Morrison character, the guy that could he can outthink any of the Justice League up until the very end. He has that funny helmet on, like all Grant Morrison characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't Prometheus. I don't know, whatever his name is. And I'm like, all right, I'm down with this story. I'm ready to go. And he just Steve Orlando'd it. And Commanders in Crisis is that, And I did not get hurt by it at all because I read the first issue and I need to adjust my numbers accordingly. So yay me.
There's a shop.
Read your comics.
There's a shop down in South Center here that the guy was just pissed, like legit angry. And again, we'll get to it in a little bit, but at some point, if you're getting issue 5 and you're still ordering like 100 copies, and if you're looking at your shelf with like 100 copies there, like what are you doing, right? I mean, why are you doing that?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a weekly comic like Heroes Reborn where you're like, Marvel did it to me again, Holy cow.
I mean, we're get to that because I get this question quite frequently. I mean, it comes up every few weeks, I would say, of like, how about these retailers stuck with all these comics? And it's like, I mean, if it's Commanders in Crisis issue 6 and you ordered 100 copies, like why did you do that? That's no longer on Steve Orlando or Image. That's on you.
You have to be a relative of Steve Orlando or the artist to have ordered that many copies. That's what I think. And I always say that if anybody is a relative or they know these people and I've been a little harsh, I apologize. It doesn't make it any less what I feel, though.
I mean, It is like I said, we'll get to it. Let's get to this. Our last page. Don't worry, your prayers are answered because next week does begin the Hellfire Gauntlet.
I actually am not worried about that at all.
No, you'll sell, right? Yeah.
I ordered. I think I ordered it properly, and I don't think I'm going to get screwed on it in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
So I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm ready for it. I'm actually excited to see if I'm right because I could always close the store, I guess.
Don't say that.
I'm more worried about that Iron Man annual.
Yeah, well, that's not going to do well, but it is. I mean, yeah, the Hellfire Gala. One of the nice things, I guess, about Marvel spoiling their events like 4 months in advance is you get a really good sense of how what the take is before you have to order that. But
yeah, well, the thing is a lot of what I'm doing is I'm kind of sort of letting people down. Letting them know that Hickman's X-Men is over. He's going to be doing something going forward, but Jerry Duggan, the guy who does Marauders, is going to be taking over X-Men. And then I say, oh yeah, and it's going to have I don't know, is it Asrar or Silva or whoever doing it? And
no, it's crap. Who it's the House of X guy. It's
yeah, they're always happy. Perez, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
The Steve Eminem clone.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, no, he'll be on that for like at least 2.
Oh yeah, well, it will be a double-sized issue, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and then they'll have like Lionel Yu for a little while, and then whoever the hell they have in their stable.
Thank you, people. Yes, Pepe Larraz.
Pepe Larraz, that guy is so good.
He is. We will get a great 3 issues for him before I go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing to draw your attention to this page is Viz is just murdering everyone next week. I mean, look, you've got Demon Slayer on there. You got My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Chainsaw Man. You have a ridiculous amount of all the money will go to Viz.
I have never ordered Chainsaw Man yet for my store, but I'm starting with issue 5 or volume 5. I am going to make sure I have One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, and I hope I ordered that Yakuza Lover because it's a volume 1.
Yeah.
But I also order straight from Viz, which, let me tell you right now, people, I'm not getting everything I need.
Ooh, that's not good news.
Well, it is good news for Viz, probably.
Well, yeah, Viz is doing extremely well right now, but
but I have the orders on order.
So in a weird way, though, some of the titles on here, in particular, like Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia, and probably One Punch Man, those books will make the month for some shops.
Yeah, I now that so obviously things are opening up, but school isn't really in session yet.
Yep.
So I'm really waiting for all the kids to walk by my store and all the people to get let off by the bus there. And there's a grade school nearby, and I am slowly but surely ordering, Viz in larger amounts, and the Dark Horse ones I know I can get that are worthwhile, and the Kodansha books that I think are worthwhile, and some of the other ones. But I'm getting ready for school to come back, and I hope I'm one of those stores, actually. Yeah.
I hope you are too. We have other manga. These are the lesser known titles out next week. I don't know. Do you do a lot of manga in your shop?
No, and it's kind of like I was saying about Commanders in Crisis.
Yeah,
I like to read the comic book and have an idea if it's something that's good for the store. Manga, a lot of times it just, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. That's when I was in high school. We watched Akira in Japanese, and then eventually got the script, and then eventually got a dubbed edition, and then finally saw it in the theater and all this other stuff. Dirty Pair was a big deal, and City Hunter. That's where I come from. But manga and anime, was something I just didn't progress with like some of my other friends did. And I don't read it all that often. I think the last manga I read was I Am a Hero, Volume 1. And that's an amazing book. Let me tell you. But I didn't read any more. Maybe Drifting Dragons. So no, my expertise in anime manga is pretty low.
Yeah. I love some of these titles though. I like I Was Abducted by an Elite All-Girls School as a Sample Commander. Like
15.
Yeah.
Number 15.
Explain that new game cover. Well, they're going to make out. That's what's going to happen there.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, what is there to explain? It's they're going to make out. That's what's going to happen there. How about the White Cat's revenge as plotted from the Dragon King's lap?
Man, everybody is doing these long titles now. James Tynion, anything by Boom, and now all these manga. It was always most recently I noticed the dungeon ones. You know, I had an experience with the green slime in a dungeon on the 3rd level, type thing.
Yeah.
I'm in love with a monster from a dungeon that I found on a quest from all this other stuff.
You gotta just enjoy. I mean, I think people are missing out on a lot of enjoyment by not looking at the manga coming out every week and just reading through the titles. Whether you buy this stuff or not, this stuff is hilarious. I mean, you can't not smile with Happy Sugar Life and A Witch's Love at the End of the World and If Witch Then Witch. I mean, come on, they're hilarious. I mean,
did you see the oh god, I forget what the first one was. The first word was like Eros X Heroes or something like that. And people would develop their superpowers when they were like lusting for other people. Yeah. So that just came out most recently. It wasn't as hot as you'd think it would be.
They never are. I mean, these don't. So we did answer maybe too quickly there with new game. I mean, who knows? For all we know, that you get that title and like they're working in a ramen shop and playing some kind of board game. I mean,
it'll be like a Lucy and Ethel thing where they're trying to package the ramen as fast as possible.
That's absolutely right. I have many times gone and just picked up manga based on the cover, and you open it up, it's like another surprise. Nothing there is.
It's Ryan Johnson is doing all these manga stories,
defying expectations. That's absolutely right. Yeah, apparently. So, Happy Sugar Life is the manga equivalent of Dexter. So there you go. See.
Excellent, man. I'm down.
Guessed it there. So anyway, some very good stuff there. So we started talking about this earlier, and I wanted to get your take on it because I get this mail every few weeks, I would say, about what about these pictures of these giant stacks of comics. And so I wanted to get your take on it first. What when you see something like this, what's your thought?
That is a store that can afford a lot of comic books. They probably have some sort of thing where they either get a special store incentive cover or they get all the incentive covers and then jack up the price and sell them online. They've got to have some idea of this waste here has to be calculated some other way. Whether it's advertising in the future, maybe there's a fan. That's what we would do. There was a Captain Marvel movie and I knew that, the new volume was coming out. So we over ordered number 1 and then we would stick our sticker on the first issue and go hand them out at the movie theater. Yeah. Things like that. So if you're doing that, if you can somehow, it's a lot of comics, but when I'm ordering comics from Diamond and I see, all you have to do is order 50 champions, and I'm like, what store is ordering 50 champions? But you're not thinking of the Pasadenas and the New Yorks and the Chicagos of the world out there, San Franciscos, where millions of people are passing through all the time. Maybe that doesn't really hurt the store, but wow, that's a lot. I'm looking at it. It's like, that's 15 each, easy. So that's 45, just like that. Easy.
Well, it's so, I look
first
at
it.
day. I think that's part of it. So the weird thing about this is I think photos can be misleading. This is a ton of comics. I mean,
I would never put that many out, by the way.
No, there's a bunch,
stupid.
Exactly. There's a bunch of things here. You look at that Fantastic Four and you've got 3 sections of that comic, and you're like, why, as a retailer, you would never put that many comics out. I mean, unless you're a complete idiot.
I don't know. I feel like those New York stores, maybe they do that.
They do. I've seen those where they just put them all out, and I don't get it why they do that. It's bad marketing. But the other factor, though, here is true, and I know this triggers people whenever I say it, but this is where Heather Antos has made the point, and she is correct, that when you see these photos, they're often the number one issues. And part of what's going on here is that the retailer is trying to get to variant covers. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get to the incentive covers. They don't really care if they sell out because they've got a big buyer paying for the variant cover. So this is just the crap that goes along with it. Is that true?
Yeah, people don't know that there's a 1 in 500 black and white sketch Jack Kirby thing that he did on a napkin that's going to be put on a cover for the 1 in 500 incentive. And you know what? You know that comic with the Joe Quesada cover? You can get it without that Fantastic Four trade dress if you buy 1,000 of those copies, or whatever. It's stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody ready to go, I mean, it's God bless you.
What do you do? So, first of all, would you do this? You get somebody coming in saying, "I'll pay $100 for this variant."
Uh-huh.
You do the math, and you're like, "Well, I need to order, 50 copies of this title in order to get that variant cover, but I'm going to make more money than I'll spend." First of all, do you do that?
I will do it if they want it bad enough. Yeah, for sure.
Then what do you do with the extra stock?
I will never put that many of them out there.
Well, sure. That's
I guess I could offer them to that person, but I don't think they really want it. Wow. All right. So, firstly, I always put my comics either 5 up and 5 down or 10 up and 10 down. That just looks horrible. I mean, those are just going to get damaged. I would take half of those and I'd move them to the back room, even if it is the first day. Oh, half of them, all of them almost.
I'd move all but a few of the first stack.
Yeah,
right?
That first 15, that can stay up. And it's going to be 5 up, 5 down, so it won't even look as bad as it does. Giveaways, man. It's
sure.
Hopefully you can sell it. Hopefully you can say, hey, I got a first issue of Fantastic Four for anybody who buys a second issue. If you're, that would be the thing I would do, stuff like that. Anything to get people to want to read this, because that's the most important thing now. Right. Buy one, get the second off. You could put the other one in a bag and board and you can get the other one for free. Exactly. Anything to get them to want to read it.
I mean, when I see this stuff, I like you, I have several reactions. My first reaction is this retailer is a dumbass for putting them all out. That's reaction number one, which I know people will, people will say this is Marvel's fault somehow. But I mean, at this point, when you're seeing them on the shelf like this, I can't blame, you can't blame Marvel for this. Now, I like some people are saying in the chat, and I mean, up here, I did 2 things when I bought way over what I knew I was going to sell a variant to somebody. I would either put them into pull boxes, like you say, to just say, hey, valuable customer, here's a free comic for you. And maybe you'll love it and sign up for more. I mean, at this point, I'm not losing money, so who cares? But the other route is I'd take them down the street to Half Price Books and just dump like 50 of these comics, and I would get, 25 cents a comic. But again, I don't care because I've profited off of the variant. So at that point, it's just gravy money. So I don't know.
Those are all, I mean, and not only that, well, you know what else we would do? All right. So anytime we had extras, we would donate to the library.
Yeah, and that too. Take them to schools. Unfortunately, that's trickier now because some of these books, like the schools won't take.
Yeah. Well, out here, I'm probably where you are too, a little bit more. We can get away with a lot more, but I wasn't putting any Xenoscope in there.
Yeah, you're not taking your dynamite. I'd have trouble with a straight face, like going to my daughter's elementary school with Secret Empire #6.
Yeah, I guess I would too.
Yeah. It's the whole thing is weird. I do think the incentive program, Fisher Max says, the incentive cover program does seem designed to waste comics in this weird backwards way. But
all right, so there's going to be a Gamma Flight comic book coming out. And there's a 1 in 25 variant for the first issue, which is by Kari Andrews, who did the covers for the Hulk back in the Bruce Jones days.
Yep.
And one of them he did was a Where the Wild Things Are cover. So now I have to get a 1 in 25 just to get that one. You know, it's like I have to order a lot more. And then that's if I want to be selfish and not allow somebody in the customer, you know, one of the customers to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
I should just not do it at all.
Speaking of which, I think Kari Andrews, I think I'll be talking to him Wednesday. So we want to congratulate him for Erratic. And
he's so genius.
He really is.
I'm really so I did very well in my store with Beta Ray Bill, and that sold very well this week.
Oh, nice.
I have been really pushing that, and I have the numbers up to where Thor is.
Oh, wow.
So I've done a really good job on that, and everybody's loving it. Everybody in my store loves Daniel Warren Johnson, and Thor numbers aren't, you know, we're not talking the big stores here, but still, you know, a number 2 book as high as the number 1 book is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to his Marvel book that he's doing, Amazing Fantasy. Kari Andrews, going to be great.
Kari Andrews, Amazing Fantasy, I think is going to be incredible. And yes, that is what we'll be talking about Wednesday, as well as the Erratic trade. So he's amazing. His creative mind. He's very, very clever creator, and you know, can't say enough great things about him. But
get his back issues, people.
No kidding.
His stuff is so good, and if only for the covers. Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, it really is.
He's excellent. He's a great creator. Yeah.
I don't get a percentage every time I mention Erratic. I
wish I did have him also.
Yeah. No. So this big. This always feels like kind of a phony thing to be outraged about. I do think, you know, from an environmental policy, I guess I wish Marvel didn't do these, you know, buy 100 copies so you can get one variant cover, but it is, I don't know. People get very worked up about this, and it's not the publisher folks. The retailer is opting into this.
Yeah, they are. I've stood my ground stupidly sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, I have to. I got one note. So there's, I guess, I don't know who did it, but one of the bigger channels did a kind of an expose video. And I'll be honest, I will happily eat crow and say I was wrong. But the comment was that Marvel basically forced people to buy either Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel with the threat of, like, we see you're only buying 5. If you don't buy 50, we're going to cut you off Marvel Comics. And that's not true on any level. I mean, am I wrong here?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm trying. I mean, the problem for me is I'm trying to picture in my head getting a call from like somebody at David Gabriel's office going like, "Hey, you're gonna need to up your order on Captain Marvel this month." Like that would have been awesome.
I would have liked to have taped that phone call. That'd have been pretty fun. No, but they do. They threaten you by not giving you as good a discount.
Sure.
They'll say. I love these. Boy, back in the early 2011s and 12s when we first opened the store.
Yeah.
Fantastic Comics. It's not just a YouTube channel. Back when we opened up, they were doing those, if you buy 150% of this comic, you could get an extra 10% off. If you buy, 200%, you can get, this percentage off. And you're like, well, I'd be a fucking fool if I didn't buy 200 copies of this comic book.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
and now I'm opted into those 1 in 200s. Way to go.
They absolutely have put incentive programs for discounts and other things on titles for sure. But they're not going to cut you off. I mean, that would be hysterical. But again, I'd love to. I want to hear that call, and I everybody's got their own opinion and everything else, but I do call bullshit on that one. That's
No, the only phone calls I've ever got were from creators saying, "Thank you for ordering so many of my comic book." And that was Scott Snyder. I'll have you know, Mr. Batman at the height of his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scott Snyder has reached out multiple times to thank me for both ordering the book and promoting it and other things. So
yeah. But
absolutely.
I'll let you know, Orlando ain't gonna help.
No. It's funny. I've gotten to somebody's mentioning Alonzo. Alonzo has reached out in person as well and thanked for ordering books. Alonzo, a guy I think who's a bit I think people are attributing things that happened kind of after him to him, but that's a whole other video and conversation.
Well, Axel Alonso, let me tell you guys,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for him, I think the 2000s era of comics would have been so boring. We had Ecstatics with Peter Milligan and Mike Allred. Talking about Kari Andrews, he worked on Tangled Webs of Spider-Man, which had all sorts of really awesome creators that were from more of the Vertigo sect doing it. And just comics in general were a little bit edgier without being like, so try hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
It's I don't know. There's some interesting history there that I think when it comes out, people surprise people. Plus, I mean, Alonso is one of the few conservative people in comics, I think, that people don't quite understand. But anyway, for what it's worth, it is an awkward silence.
No, it's all right. Axel Alonso, no, he really did some really great stuff over at Marvel, and yeah, the way it went at the end, it was. I mean, I don't really get too deep into that stuff, but it seemed like, his time was over. 10 years at any place is a lot of times.
It is.
7 years too long.
Well, I think people forget some of who Alonso let go right before he was let go. They kind of forget some of those names. And anyway,
right.
It is what it is. All right. Well, so how about on to something slightly. So John Romita Jr., who a lot of people newer to comics talk about being terrible. I grew up with Romita on Spider-Man and Uncanny X-Men and so on. Here's some early work on Fantastic Four he's got putting in. What's your take on Romita Jr.?
He's, when he firstly, I think he's like one of the top Marvel artists of all time. Just there, right? Yeah. His DC stuff wasn't so great, and his Image stuff when he went over there, it was uninspired also. But we're talking about a dude who's like a company man.
Yeah.
And he settles in so perfectly. He's altered his style, mostly with the help of, I'm assuming, Klaus Janson and Frank Miller.
Yes, for sure.
And he's done yeoman work, and he's done 2 a month. And when the titles had no business being worth at all a hill of beans, he was putting in his best work all the time. And he can draw some funky stuff, but damn, this page looks great. I could ink this. You could ink this.
Yes.
Any of you fools could ink this right now.
For sure.
I mean, look at that. That is so. My buddy who was I had a friend who inked comic books for a minute.
Yep.
And he always stressed that the bold lines had to be in the far front, and it's supposed to get thinner as you go back. And I think, I don't know if it's because of computers or what, or maybe it's just because there is no inking; it goes straight to color.
It's the digital, it's the digital for sure.
Exactly. But we don't see it quite that way. And when you see black and white art that was on paper, looking like this, it's just you see why people collect artwork. I think this is, so some people are asking, yes, this is upcoming. So this is new work for the Fantastic Four anniversary issue he's on. And it gets me thinking, is maybe you have some people where their work just seems better for one company or another. Mm-hmm. And maybe DC was just not the fit for Romita Jr. because his, coming back to Marvel out the gate, putting out stuff like this. I mean, I am a terrible artist, but this looks great. Well, I've heard that actually.
A lot of people confirm it is true.
This is amazing. He had a few moments of brilliance still in like some of those action comic books where you wouldn't expect it to be. The storytelling wasn't so great, but it still looked really good. And he did Silencer for a minute also, and that was pretty good. But
that was better than his action work for sure.
Yeah, man, let me tell you, John Romita Jr. He created Spawn. He did Marvel comics back when he was so early. He's one of the only guys I have a comic book still signed by. He told me to stay in school. Yeah. Right. I mean, you look at these characters, and if you don't know who they are, you want to know who they are.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. So I'm ready for it. So we'll see. Yeah. But I'm pleased, and I do think I do think this looks pretty good. And I have no art taste, but still it looks pretty good. No, I'm joking. I don't consider myself an artist, folks. So I got a bunch of email like, "Oh my God, are you okay with this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not an artist." Oh yes, I don't. Okay. People are funny. All right. Hey, you haven't had a chance to do this.
No, I haven't. I'm excited.
Yeah. Intentional or not? All right. So this is not one of them because clearly this is intentional. I think people forget this was, I want to say this is like less than 15 years ago. I do appreciate Supergirl being so kind of out of it that she's anyway.
This is the Michael Turner inspired Supergirl, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, back when he had that super crop top. Anyway, anyway, I appreciate Gary Frank drawing the confusion. This is the best part of this panel. Like Supergirl, he's nailed that confused look on her face. So.
By the way, I've seen a lot of people talking about who the Hulk artist is out there. Mm-hmm. And I've heard like Dale Keown being the top guy or whatnot. And I personally think if you're not talking about Jack Kirby, it's Gary Frank. Okay. Yeah. There you go. I want to get my 2 cents out there.
I agree. I always thought that John Romita Jr. did a great Hulk, but we didn't see much of it.
I'm really blanking on what he might have done off the top of my head, but this is probably making for bad radio.
No, that's all fine. we don't have to worry about it when we're talking about this. As long as you've got boobs on the screen, we can say whatever we want.
Oh, very good. Keown is awesome, don't get me wrong, and he had some really good moments, but the only thing that hurt Gary Frank's run was I think during the Pantheon, and that was a pretty bad storyline if I remember correctly. But no, Gary Frank is the best, and not only that, I'm sorry, Kurt Swan.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, other people. He might be the best Superman artist, also. And I don't know. And can I say something? He does that Legion story with Jeff Johns.
Yep.
He does like Superman, Brainiac, and then Superman. I forget what it was called. And there is a moment where he meets the Legion of Superheroes for the first time. And in the other book, he meets the Legion of Superheroes from the first time, but it's from like a different perspective. The words are all the same, but the art is all different. And that's one of the greatest things ever. I don't know if anybody knows this, but, or maybe everybody knows this. And I'm just letting you know that I do too.
I think Gary Frank, as some people are saying, Gary Frank, he always seemed to miss out on having the biggest book at any company. There was always some book, some event, something going on that was kind of eclipsing what he was doing. And I think Gary Frank, from Midnight Nation to but Midnight Nation, again, is a book I'll pimp forever because very few people seem to know that exists, and that's amazing.
Midnight Nation, I think it's 11 really awesome issues.
Okay. I know where you're going with this. There was an issue 0 or an Ashcan in there was good too, but yeah, there was one bad issue in that run. I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that was really good too. Gary Frank is amazing. He does have that overbite thing that he does. So if you can't get past that, then I wouldn't recommend any Dan Clowes either.
Yeah. It's First names. Well done. All right. You tell me. So you'll intentional or not. Here we go. Here's our first one. A good old classic Reed Namor thing here. What do you make about that? What do you make with this?
Well, I'm gonna ram those mocking words down his throat.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is
There's a lot going on in this panel.
This is pretty something phobic, is what I'm thinking here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He's pissed, and you know what? Namor. I can understand that. I'll give Reed a pass. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Do you think the writer-artists knew what they were doing with this panel?
They were being edgy. Yes, they knew.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Stanley knew.
I think they'll ram the words down their throat. Nah, but when you get to the thing saying, how's about giving me sloppy seconds? I mean, I can't think that was not that has to be intentional, but anyway,
I like it.
It's fun stuff. All right. Okay. I do like how Namor's like giving him the look of like contemplating, like I'd give things sloppy seconds. As long as I can get to that's what he's thinking.
Well, that's always what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And not only that, during the Hickman run, we found out Namor had to hang. He had to hang with some chicks.
Yes, absolutely. I love how the Namor's his entire kind of comic legacy has kind of really come down to he wants to fuck Sue.
Yeah. I was gonna write a story with a friend of mine. A little like a one pager, and it was all about how he couldn't ultimately get Sue because he's walking around barefoot in New York all the time.
Yeah,
and he has some dirty ass feet. And you do a close up, and it's like sorry, folks, a Krusvaluski, and it's like the bunions and maybe a hypodermic or something like that. Some tight, some
gonna be gross.
Some band-aids, and maybe those wings don't look so healthy.
Yeah, nothing is gonna look on those feet. Goddamn.
Sue ain't hanging with Namor, not in the end.
I like this and the terrible visual that this produces. Thank you, 7 Speed, for bringing it down. Oh my god. Anyway, it's clobbering time, so to speak. All right, how about
clobbering time? It's always Batman.
How about this old Batman here?
All right, Loose Dowell. All right, excellent. No, I'd say unintentional.
Yeah, unintentional. This one I agree. I think this one's more just a period of the times. I don't think any artist was thinking here, but I do like how they give you the close up with the arrow pointing to what's going on behind Batman's back here.
Dude, those are awesome.
Yeah, we
need that back in comics. That's probably one of the reasons why I like Matt Fractions and David.
Okay, yeah.
Ajah's Hawkeye so much because they would do those type of shenanigans, and I like when you play with the panels a little bit more, and it's not just so arty,
Yeah, I agree. We got out of like there's a bunch of kind of interesting tricks that you'd see in comics from from thought bubbles and this kind of stuff with panels and that they kind of walked away from all at once over the last 5 years.
I'm a proponent of thought panels or thought balloons, I should say. I'm a proponent. I think our problem with social media is also partially that they don't have letters pages in comics these days. Yeah. They can't have a distilled version of one point of view throughout the book, and unless I don't know, you always would see that one letter that would say, "Oh, I know you only print really awesome comments about your book, but here I am talking shit."
Well,
and there it is.
I think I found one of the most insane letters, which we'll see in just a moment here, in the letters page that goes on. But well, here let's go to our third one here. How about this? Which is how about this?
All right. What is this, Frank Miller?
Yeah, it's Dark Knight Returns, I believe.
Well, I'm going to say yes then. He is intentional.
Yeah.
I want to believe that everything he does has purpose.
What was going on here with Jim Gordon? Like this feels, this is an odd turn on old Jim Gordon.
Yeah, what's this in? Boy, I've read The Dark Knight Returns like a million times, but what part is this in? I need context. Is what I'm
As
saying.
I recall, the context is just him thinking about his age and getting older, and just
I see.
That he misses when he could do more, but it doesn't read that way.
No, it doesn't. I also think about when I was younger.
Sure.
Do you remember the last time you just like ran and
Oh yeah.
I mean, the last time I ran like so hard that I wasn't thinking about anything. I was chasing down this dude who stole money from the store.
I have done that. I have absolutely done that. I've done that. I mean, in the last 5 years.
I was sore for a week.
I don't know. It's no, I've definitely chased people down. I had a good group at one point who would come in and just hang out at the comic store, and then they like to chase people down, and so that was fun. We had some guy just run out with some comics, and they chased him down. They destroyed the comics in the process, but they also beat the living shit out of that guy.
That's the real gatekeeping in comics, people.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. This panel is disturbing. So. So this is going to be hard to read with all this text, but I found this in the letters page, which is pretty insane. So a couple weeks ago, we did that panel. I don't know if you people who are in the chat or the stream back then remember, Lois was like pointing to her butt, which was sore, and just saying, I can't sit down and all this stuff. And so what was the context behind that? Well, the context was Lois got paddled by Superman robots, and just they went at her for a while. So there's a panel of her getting punished for being a bad girl, apparently. But this letter is borderline crazy. So it's like, I like, dear editor, although I am a great fan of Lois Lane's, I disagree with you for not having Superman teach her a lesson for her many impetuous tricks by giving her a spanking. I just, why would you write that into a comic company? But anyway, even if Superman was to use all his ingenuity to punish Lois, it can never be as effective as a good, sound spanking. Please do not refuse. Her problem of sitting down after punishment can be solved with the use of a soft pillow under her. Hey, how about that person thinking through things? Please do not refuse my request, for I know many readers like myself would like to see the Man of Steel turn Lois over his knee and give her the good old-fashioned spanking she deserves. So first of all, that's insane to be printed in a comic and right in the first place. But then the response, your request that Lois Lane receive corporal punishment comes a bit too late. Lois was the victim of super spanking in the story 3 Nights in the Fortress of Solitude. What I find fascinating about this is all of it. I mean, so someone decided to, so it's thought about this for a while, decided to write it all out, send it into a comic publisher who then printed it and then responded going, hey, not only are we printing this and saying we agree, but you're too late. We've already done it.
It reminds me of Lucy and, Lucy. I love Lucy. Ricky would often like bend her over his knee and spank her.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a super spanking also. So this is like going to be this is going to be the spanking of a lifetime.
I mean, God. As he points out, fake letter, which it very well could be. Definitely. It absolutely could be. Although
I didn't see Kurt Busiek's name to it. So
that also opens up other questions, though. Like if it was a fake letter, the publisher felt this was a good idea to throw into the comic. But anyway, someone get this to the Superman and Lois showrunners. Yeah, I mean, why was this not in the Snyder Cut?
That will be a special episode when the sons walk in when the parents are doing their nighttime activities.
Yeah, there's so many questions here. In general, Yeah. So Jeff Thorne, I mean, this was in a comic. This, it's
It
part of
can't have possibly been fake.
it's part of your canon now. You have to address this now in Green Lantern. I'm just
Yeah, it might. There's a way that it can be announced. It can be dealt with. Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah.
Of course, that's old 52, so I don't know if that necessarily counts anymore.
The Omniverse, everything counts.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, there you go. Canon.
Everything counts. And actually, I mean, somebody needs to get to Scott Snyder. You said everything counts. So how are you going to address this? And by the way, according to Linearverse rules, this happened like 3 years ago.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. So styles really changed in the last few years.
Yeah. Exactly everything counts.
In large amounts, actually. I always felt like Spider-Man, Peter Parker and Franklin Richards were the two characters that had growth spurts or age, and they never really matched up.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with the Marvel universe. As far as DC, they're all over the place now.
Oh no, for sure. It's I don't know. There's a lot here. That's all I know. You remember though the Superman? There was a period of time where Superman was the biggest dick, and he would just prank Lois on a monthly basis.
It's Super Dickory. There's a website way back when called Super Dickory, which was all the fucked up shit that Superman would do to his friends.
That is the best site. And using Omniverse rules, it all counts now.
It all counts, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would do some really messed up stuff too. He would make elaborate plans to trick Lois or Jimmy into revealing whatever to whoever. And then he would fake his death and just all sorts of stuff.
He would do things for no purpose other than to just screw with Lois when she was just kind of minding her own business half the time, and would elaborately, as you say, fake his death and make her feel like she murdered people, like put her on trial. Like he was hilarious back in those days. But anyway.
And you said there's no politics in comics. Come on. That's a lot of politics in comics right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think, by the way, we definitely need to bring the Superman back. Like I would be all in. Like don't you wish if you could go back in time, the Bendis run had been the Super Dick Superman? That would have been, God, I would have been into that. But.
I think there's no reason why they can't. That's where things like when they did bizarre Tales or whatever it was back in the aughts, with the indie crowd doing Superman and other characters in the DCU. That's where you can get away with that kind of stuff. Doing a little run like that. I
think you do something kind of out on continuity and just have this crazy a-hole Superman just flying around pranking people all the time. I would buy that all day long. So, and yes, he's right. So the part of the game was in Lois Lane's book, she was very cruel to Clark. And then she was stalking Superman. So Superman in the weirdest ways would try and teach her lessons by aging her up, turning her into a baby. I mean, just constantly screwing with her. It would have been anyway. I love that. I love that era so much. All right. Well, hey, we could talk some old comics as we keep going, just chats. And by the way, people in the chat, first of all, thank you for coming as always. And if you have questions, throw them our way. We'll try and answer them. But this was kind of a trip of a comic as well. I like how Robin's trying to hey, let's get into this Mountain Spring with a bunch of boys.
Well, that's what Robin was created for, right? So that, well, actually, no, that was what Batwoman was created for. So that I felt bad for, this whole wanting to ship Robin and Batman together. It's for sure. I usually, and it's jokingly because I know how the thing is, but I usually say, what are you, some kind of pervert? I mean, that's like a 14-year-old kid right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, people don't think he's shipping things through necessarily. Yeah,
I mean, it's okay now, or it's okay later. So then it's like he groomed him the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you want that, you read a book called Brat Pack. You don't read World's Finest or anything. Brat Pack's done it. You aren't original. Get over it and come up with something new.
We don't need comics about grooming anyway. I mean, this isn't the Comic-Con biology.
It's not the Warren Ellis story.
Yeah, see, I knew one of us would do it. There you go.
I love Warren Ellis.
I do too.
Not my most favorite, but definitely awesome.
Yep. Yeah. By the way, if you're enjoying the chat, please give us a like. I guess that does something for someone. But how about this? How do you guys handle thieves? Like how do you handle a thief?
If I can catch them, I'll run them down. If it's worth it, I'll try and make an example of them. But the reality of it is that, there's going to be a court date, and whether or not you're the kind of person that has to be in your store and work it, you aren't going to show up to that. And would you just take them to another city?
Oh no.
That's what it usually comes down to. I'll
true.
drop them off in Oakland,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I spanked them. That's
super spanked them. I
mean, back in the 90s, in kind of the Colorado area for the comic. I mean, I'm going to be honest. We would run them down and we would beat the shit out of them. I mean, that's what I had a guy who was former Army who would hang out in the store, and he liked to chase people down, and he would hurt them very bad. And now we don't. Now that's not a approach we can do. But
there was this. Can I tell you about this time?
Yeah.
There was this guy who was in the store, and the problem with Berkeley is that you're going to get not just thieves, but you're also going to get nutbags.
Yep.
And you ask the person to leave, and then it happens, and you get into a tussle. I'm lucky enough to have worked in a store. Well, my store also was next to a Half Price Books. And at the time, one of the managers over there was also like a former MMA kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so, although me and my buddy, oh my God, this is hilarious. I got my arm cut up in a glass case, where one of the statues are.
Yep.
And so my arm's bleeding, and we get this guy down. It's me and my manager. And I'm like looking at my blood, and I'm like, "You made me bleed," And I did a wrestling, like I put my knee in his, in his ribs, and just totally went to town for a second. And my buddy's like, "Hey, Yule, you might want to stop there." Anyway, the guy from Half Price comes over, and he just does one of those MMA holds, and that dude is like a pretzel. And he ain't going anywhere. I'm like, wow, that's amazing when you see somebody that isn't even like the height of his career come in and do something like that. And it's impressive.
I remember this guy, again, this guy who would hang out in my store, chase this guy out, went down kind of an alley that was near the store. And there's nobody to, so I'm following along behind, locking the store. And then I get into the alley where he is, and I come across this guy. He's got the thief down on the ground. He's just stomping him hard, like in the head. And I'm going, whoa, what's going on? He's like, my arms are tired, and he's just kicking him. And I just burst out laughing. It's terrible violence now. But there you have it. So yeah, lots of mob justice.
Do you know Al Gordon, the inker extraordinaire?
Yeah.
This was before I was at Comic Relief, but I guess there was like this incident with somebody, and basically Al Gordon punched this dude out.
Yeah. It was rougher back then. I mean, it was like the cons of the 90s too. Like there would be a fight. There's some good stuff that would happen. It was more entertaining than we get now. But.
Well, that was probably because Rob Liefeld threw a T-shirt in the crowd or something like that.
Here, Jeff asks, how have pirate sites impacted store sales? Have you seen an impact?
I don't know if it really has. And if anybody is like me, they're like, they download something and don't ultimately watch or read it. I think pirate sites are better for comic book reviewers than anything.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong there.
But I have seen the numbers that you've posted. I've gone on it and I've looked, and it's amazing. I know Jim Zub has talked about it
Yep.
pretty vocally about it, and
he's not wrong. Yeah.
It's a shame because a guy like him actually puts work and effort and has care to craft and isn't just trying to do his own thing, but do something that's lasting within the history of an IP.
Yeah.
And to see someone come in and just do it like that, it's not even like it's the hottest book. That's the one you're supposed to buy.
Yeah.
Do it to Batman. Batman can handle it.
Yeah, well, which is kind of the effect I think of manga is that the sales are high. Like the business model, I did a video on that. The business model is such that piracy is not going to hit those. They're moving so quickly. But I think pirate side. Well, here's the problem, and there's no real way to know for sure. If you're pirating, say, X Factor, and then X Factor isn't selling in the store, are the people pirating X Factor actually going to show up to the store and buy it? And it's hard. I have a hard time believing that that's going to be a huge number is the problem. I think I just don't think they're like, I would buy this, but I think I'll pirate it. I think if they're pirating it, my suspicion of them actually spending money is low.
If we can call X-Men the #1 title and New Mutants and Wolverine and all those other ones that can, the next ones down the line, if they're a part of that, then you're going to see a diminishing sale for each one going on down. Maybe Wolverine's #2 and X-Force is #3. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But by the time you get down to X-Corp or X Factor, you can't possibly maintain those sales. And we're starting at such a lower number of people with the higher base that I don't know. I mean, you talk about wrestling a lot of times. I've talked about wrestling a number of times. You can even see it in just the ratings of the different promotions. And things will happen, like let's say an anniversary issue that costs $10 where something spikes. You can call it a cell match or a blood match or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then the numbers go up and then they go down and then they go up because of something else that they're doing. Oh, by the way, the next issue was a 25th issue, which is also coincidentally the 750th issue of the entire run. Yeah. And we're going to really double size it. And then it goes up and then it goes down. And it's the beginning of a story arc and it goes down. And, you can false inflate all these things, but we don't have a higher amount of people at the very top all the time. There was Scott Snyder was selling, I don't know, I'm guesstimating, but it was like 100,000 every month. Sure. And it didn't matter if his comic was $3.99 or a special issue that was $5.99, it sold 100,000. Yeah. When you get to Tom King, it's selling 100,000, but it's a 50,000 every other week. So it's like, oh, well, it's basically the same thing, except you're putting out 2 issues and it's all in 1 month. Yeah. You have your ways of doing your numbers and you can make it work the way you want, but there's definitely a decrease in, we're working with a smaller amount at the very top is what I think it is.
I think you're right. I think piracy is piracy. I mean, there's no way around it. And I think Zub's comments were correct. It's wrong, but I think in terms of solutions, I think if you suddenly eliminated piracy, I don't think you'd see this huge corresponding jump in sales.
Me either.
And that is then I think the problem that we should be solving is something else.
And isn't anime or manga piracy more people getting it before it even gets translated to English? They're getting it, and they're like me when I was getting Akira for the first time. Maybe you got it on Laserdisc, or maybe you got a bootleg copy, and it wasn't in English, and it might have had Japanese subtitles. Yeah, if you're lucky, all of that stuff. But if you didn't, then you got the you got the print version, so you could read along with the pictures. And those people a lot of times go and buy the book ultimately, though.
They do. Manga, there's a lot of different factors there for sure. But I think it's one of those cases where there's a number of problems to be solved here. If you could snap your fingers and solve just one of them, and you said no more piracy, I don't think the comic industry would suddenly be flush with cash. And I think we have a problem. So.
No, I think I saw some stuff in the chat. #1 Zub, he's got Steve Orlando, Heat, X-Pac Heat. There's a number of writers I can name that are like that. It has nothing to do with the quality sometimes of their work, but it just is what it is.
Yeah.
But also the money, $4.99. But like I said, if you read that Wonder Girl and you spent $5 for that book, you probably came out thinking you got your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to always suck just because it costs a lot of money.
That's true. Yeah. I think that the biggest, and we can move on, but the biggest problem with piracy in my mind is it creates this weird view of what's going on in the industry, where you'll go on to something like Twitter, and Mark Millar posted a very good note today that 5% to 10%, probably closer to 5%, of people on Twitter are actual comic purchasers, the people commenting. So you'll have to see for himself. He put some analysis there, but I think that what happens is people will pirate the books who really have no intention of buying them. They'll go on social media and they'll make a lot of noise about it. The company and the creators are like, I've got a huge hit on my hands. And then they choose not to market maybe as aggressively as they should, or be competitive with price, or any number of things. And, the book, then people are magically surprised when it's selling under 20,000 copies. So I think the whole practice can create a false expectation because the publishers aren't digging enough to really see where their sales are. But anyway.
I think advertising is so different than the way it used to be only like 10 or 20 years ago, even.
For sure.
You advertise in a newspaper, you advertise in a magazine, you advertise in a comic book, you advertise on TV, and that was pretty, radio, you make radio ads. Now you have radio that's not terrestrial. Now you have, I'm watching TV on YouTube or Hulu or whatever it is. I might not have commercials because I paid the extra money. Mm-hmm. How do you get that stuff out? And it changes everything. Commercials are one of the reasons why, or advertisements are one of the reasons why comics used to be cheap. Now it's just Marvel advertising in their own mags with maybe a car ad, and stuff like that. And they used to work hard at it. Stuff is so different. I don't know if we could ever go back to that way, but the usual way that we have, the normal way of doing running your business, the practices of every day, has changed so much that I can still fast forward through all my Masked Singer commercials.
Yeah.
It stops for me. I don't even have to pay attention to it anymore.
It's true.
I don't even know if that answers anything, or if it even is important. But
it's hard to get an answer right now, and I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. I want to get your take on these covers, but very quickly, what do thieves steal from your store? I mean, for me, comics. That's what they're stealing, comics, which is always the crappy part. It's what made me so angry back in the 90s, and you would get into that violence because when somebody grabs a bunch of comics and stuffs it in their shirt, the comics are ruined at that point. So not they've stolen from you, but even if you catch them, the product is done. So that's what always got me very angry. How about you? What do they steal from your store?
When I first opened, we had this guy that would come in, and we thought he was pretty special, and we didn't want to be, we wanted to be cool, he would come in and say, oh, he's buying these previews magazines for his friends in the home that he, lives at. And it was odd. And, but then we noticed things were missing. And so then we realized it was this dude, and we're like, no way. He's pretending to be.
Yeah.
Supposedly these guys go from town to town. When they find out a new store is opening up, they're going to hit these guys up. The most pissed off I ever got, though, was when somebody bought a Tokidoki t-shirt and could never have fit into it.
Yeah.
That pissed me off the most.
How about we got a combination? There's Venom 25, so we have something for kind of people who always say we talk about old stuff. How about this Thing comic where they're clearly trying to pretend that Batman is coming into the picture?
Oh, Batman, that makes sense. Is that an Ernie Chan cover? I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really matter.
I don't think so. Maybe
that's probably the only thing that could get me to read Marvel 2 in 1. Truthfully, I know there's a lot of people out there. I'm just pissed off, and I'm going to piss them off even more. Ron Wagner was a third-rate John Byrne. How you like that?
No.
Or Ron Wilson, I mean. whatever Ron it was, it doesn't even matter.
Did you see Bizarre Adventures was always this weird comic where the story insides were sometimes they had really great ones and sometimes just garbage.
Black and white though, right?
Yeah, usually black and white. I think always black and white actually.
The only one I ever got was I think I got another one, but I can't remember which one it was. The X-Men one is the classic one to get. It has all right, so I have a buddy, I took him home and I'm like, oh my God, you have a street like Jean Grey used to live on. And if you read that Bizarre Adventures, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A blind spot. It also had an Iceman story and what was the other one? Nightcrawler? Well, whatever. Those are the only Bizarre Adventures I really remember.
How about the era of romance comes Girls Love, which feels like the first page is a setup to we know where it's going, which is the everybody has someone to love except us. I know what's wrong with us.
I am so attracted to this comic book. I wish I would have been into romance comics for any length of time. Actually, also Archie in those, like, if you follow any Instagram accounts or people that collect comic books, they always post those. I can't remember the name of the guy, but it's like in the 50s. And those Archie with Betty and Veronica covers are so freaking beautiful. This reminds me of that, except like more 70s, more like the Wonder Woman white suit covers.
Yeah.
What is this? Dick Giordano, probably?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to do a retrospective on some of these, but so speaking of Superman screwing with Lois Lane, here is Superman has de-aged Lois into a baby. Or no, I don't even know. All I know is Superman's hanging out with Lana on the couch, and Lois has somehow been turned into a baby and is throwing blocks at him. That's
the only way to take care of Lois.
Yeah,
for real, spanking and make her a kid, so it's okay to do it.
Exactly. This is what went on in the 60s. This reboot of Gen X was not the best.
Really? I liked it.
Really? This is more Central Park, and Jubilee was a vampire, I believe.
True. Pina, I think, is a very interesting illustrator. This is a Dodson cover.
Yeah.
And what was this? Somebody Strain, like Charlie Strain or something like that. Christina Strain. Yep. I actually liked it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was interesting. It's following the kids in the school and, Quentin being a dick and trying to, lure somebody into being a little mischievous with him. But if you enjoy like kids in school class storylines, I thought it was pretty good.
How about this Jane Foster? What if Jane Foster found the Hammer of Thor, which of course she then did in Jason Aaron's run. How did the Jason Aaron Jane Foster Thor do in your shop?
Oh God, it was amazing. In Berkeley, at the height of our powers, and chicks coming in the store all the time, and it was amazing. I'm just joking about the chicks part. It was men and women buying Thor all the time. It was. It got bigger and better, but it was awesome to begin with. Again, Ribbich doing the artwork on the God Killer storyline.
I like that arc.
Yeah. Oh my God. And we have a store that like you tell somebody like, oh, check out this art on this one issue. And it was Dos Pastaros, I think his name is, doing the drunk dragon partying with Thor, and Thor has to teach him a lesson story. That sells really well in my store.
Yeah.
And Jane coming in, I mean, it was obvious that she was going to be the one. You give somebody a life-threatening disease, it's obvious they're going to be the person. I mean, what is this? Tommy is Hush, obviously.
Yeah.
By the way, my favorite book here is All-Star Squadron.
Yeah. Well, we would save that for last. Yeah. I don't know. People always struggle with that, but I mean, Jane Foster Thor was such a magical time of sales in my shop. That's all.
Oh my God, it was so good. I think it went on too long, and the renumbering hurt the series.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, this all starts. Hawkman being super pissed off was always a good time.
The thing about All-Star Squadron was the reason why the superheroes couldn't go to Nazi Germany was there was like this magical force field that prevented them from going over there. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I love that book. It's the only World War II book I like.
Yeah. That was some good stuff for sure. All right. How about this? The Vulture getting serious and is about to send Spider-Man. He's put Spider-Man in chains in a coffin and he's sending him into the incinerator.
Well, there's no way he can escape that. How's he going to get out?
He died after this issue.
What you don't know is that every Spider-Man story that's happened after this is his last moments of life.
That's right. And it's the Vulture in his mask. He was the one banging MJ all those years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's horrible. I love Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, especially in the Carrion days.
Yeah.
That's probably like the best. Like my greatest time reading comics was 79 to like 87 probably.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there hasn't been really spectacular stuff since then. And stuff that I think is even better than all of that.
I like the giant size Fantastic Four here, where you've got the threat of an Annihilus. Reed's gonna go. The thing is here. We got to stop him, or Susie's a goner. The Torch is in action, and Sue's got a baby.
Well, she's doing the most important work here. Let's be honest about.
That's true. Yeah.
And not only that, with as messed up as Franklin is, this is important work right now.
Yeah.
So. No, Annihilus, he gets beaten every other year or two. So you only get a few 50 years to raise a kid.
Yeah, it's true. I do absolutely. The Spawn covers here just to shut Mumbles up. That's absolutely what's going on there.
Dude, Spawn covers. I remember Pete, man, when you have people come in the store and they want to be like cooler than cool, they'd be like, the Spawn, Spawn, that type of stuff. But let's be real. Capullo was killing it with whatever McFarlane helped him with here. And I knew that when I heard he was going to be on Batman, a lot of people were kind of like, shitting on it because,
You're right.
They really were. But I'm like, you guys are fools. His stuff on X-Force and Quasar was actually quite solid and like real art, real comic book art.
It blows my mind. Yeah, people forget when the New 52 hit and Capullo was going to be on Batman. There was a decent amount of like, this is going to suck.
Yeah,
and
all they can do is Spawn.
It blows my mind, though. I mean, like, come on, you've got Spawn and Shadows with the capes and come on. Like, of all the books that you could put Capullo on in DC, Batman's the ringer.
Yeah, that was like a thing going on so like I had some ties at Image for a while, and because they were in Berkeley, and Eric Larson helped me get helped me get the store going.
Yeah,
that's a big old story.
That's why you get Savage Dragon. There you have
exactly.
it.
That's why I get Savage Dragon. Eric, remember that. But yeah, so I had heard that. Like, they wanted to get Capullo to keep on doing something for them, but he was like, oh no, I got a big project I got to be quiet about. Yes. And it was the New 52, which was basically the only book that sold.
Yeah.
Although you might want to do those Wonder Womans. I don't think you did those, right?
No, those did okay.
They were good.
How about the Kingpin getting to the Twin Towers before Al-Qaeda?
Well, now I know I need to get that issue #1 because I always try and collect the World Trade Center issues. I didn't even know that I was trying to collect them, but I just found out I was. There was this Wonder Woman issue where she flies her invisible plane through them.
Yeah,
but it's okay. It's all right. There was no gas or whatever.
Oh no,
fucking shit up. And there's that Kazar Photoshop cover. And just any and even better, and it started with my buddy. he drew a word balloon on a Justice League International where Martian Manhunter's sitting on a hill looking at the World Trade Center. And in the word balloon, he said, and I'll blame it on Al Qaeda or on Bin Laden.
No. Oh no.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing. I love working in a comic store because shit like that happens, you know?
Yeah, that was terrible, tasteless stuff that we get in.
But Spidey Super Stories is probably Electric Company is probably the reason why I read comic books.
Yeah.
It was all about the Electric Company, the Spider-Man stories. I remember the one with the bee. I can't remember what her name is right now, but it was, one of those crazy. Oh, these covers! Look at this.
Yeah. Oh, there's that Daredevil's pretty awesome, right? Everybody's going to talk about the Wolverine She, but we'll get there in a second.
Daredevil by Miller.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong? I mean, Klaus Janson saved so many careers.
Oh, for 100%. That is like the hero of inking for years.
I was so on my channel, Fantastic Comics, I was doing we'll call it an unboxing or something. And I went through a comic and I'm like, holy cow, Jim Mooney did this issue. Jim Mooney did so many comics in the 70s. But Klaus Janson in the 80s and 90s, oh my gosh. He was important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Daredevil's great. Was that a Stiltman issue, I'm assuming? I can't remember.
I'm sure it was, but which is a good reminder. Fantastic Comics on YouTube. Subscribe to Yule, please.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in there and
let's get us to 1,000 people, and then I can leave community notes.
That's right. You get them to 1,000, and then you make thousands of dollars a day on YouTube. That's what happens.
I just want to leave little notes. That's all.
Yeah. Come on, let you all have some notes. So get us some. We got to do this.
These Hulks. Oh my God, it's all about the Moon Knight issues in the back of the Hulks, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Or didn't Bruce's father's treatment of him in youth? Didn't that come out in the Rampaging Hulk also?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Well done. So thank you, Mumbles. You bring this all night. That's exactly what's happening to the Hulk here. Those Legos screw you every single time.
There's no way the Hulk. Look, he might be the strongest one there is, but Legos, come on.
Yeah, you can't. Legos are going to always get you. No, it doesn't matter who you are. There's Captain America fighting Magneto.
Classic issue. Classic annual. Important.
Wolverine She. What cracks me up about this is a Tower Records exclusive cover, I believe.
Damn, Tower got in the game.
Yeah. I
wonder how much Billy Tucci made off that.
I can't imagine that.
Oh my God, that was the heydays. That was like QVC days,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I remember, I wanted to break into comics. Oh, you know what? Let's exploit a woman for my advertisement. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. It was what she would do. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I was in my 20s, so let's be nice to me.
I felt poor She here. The hips don't lie or really appear in this.
Dude, I liked Whisper more.
Yeah.
Can I say that right now?
Yeah, that's fair.
Whisper was the ninja lady I like the most.
Yeah. I don't know anything about art, but those hips look good. You should get more butt.
She could use a little more rump for sure. Yeah.
I do. I'm going to continue to just use that joke forever. Sometimes people hand you a gift, which is very nice.
Oh, I would play it up all the time. That you can't draw. Oh, well, I mean, I understand what he's saying.
Oh, he's not wrong.
I can't draw stick figures, so what you guys are doing looks like amazing illustrations. But I know the difference between you guys and I don't know, Perch. What are you doing? Like a knockoff Art Adams or something like that?
I'm a total knockoff Art Adams. Absolutely.
Now, what's he doing? What's he doing? A knockoff for Herb Trimpe or something?
Sure.
Like that?
I mean, he should. If he's not going to do interiors, and damn it, I'm going to. So.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, stick figures. But you know what? I know how to lay out a page. It's in my head. I know how to do it.
I know how to drink, so I've got that. Speaking of
Oh
which,
yeah.
Steve Dillon, Punisher, right? I
Mhm.
mean, this was this was one of the best runs of Punisher I think that there was.
Yeah. I mean, is there? All right. So I felt, and we're talking about Punisher Max,
This
not the
was
funny Punisher.
this was Marvel Knights.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever. I'm talking about the serious one, not the Russian with the boobs, but
Yeah.
Barracuda storyline.
Yep.
I felt every other storyline was excellent, and then the other ones were okay, passable.
Yeah.
Punisher, not my favorite, but you get to that Barracuda storyline.
That's good stuff.
It is. It's as Tarantino as. So I felt way back in the day that Marvel should say, "Here's $1 million," because supposedly that's what big Hollywood scripts were costing, like Last Boy Scout and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's $1 million, Tarantino. Write Punisher for us, because obviously Punisher or Nick Fury were the characters that he needed to write the most, and they never did it. But this is as close to that as possible, and especially the Barracuda storyline.
Mm-hmm.
That is genius.
Absolutely.
He cuts off that dude's fingers, and he's like, "Oh, I put him on ice." And he's like, "Well, I hope you put him in a bag because you're gonna ruin the tendons."
Yeah. It's crazy. Innes was just he made some amazing stories there. I absolutely love those. We do. Yes. By the way, yes. Multiple comics are being made. I'm gonna have, but
Oh, I can't wait.
yeah. I mean, they're gonna look like shit, but they're out there. No.
Well, you know what? The thing is, though, is
Yeah.
Art Adams can't do an entire page in a year anyway. So,
It's much like
you
me.
know, some knockoff version, 30 pages worth or something, should be okay.
Yeah, and it only takes me a year to make a page too. So. No, it's coming, but the difference, and I have another comic that I'm helping a friend that's going to be put out that is actually at the printers right now. But the deal is that it's gonna be all these books are going to be fully done and printed, and then the crowdfunding will begin. So
Awesome.
I'm going to try. We want the fulfillment to come out like within days.
Are you gonna do one of those like incentives, like you'll get cards if you reach
Probably
this
not.
amount?
I mean,
stuff?
I'm gonna do it all fucked up and wrong. I'm just gonna here's the comic, and then like all
You're not gonna make it like cost like what it would on the shelf of a comic store, minus the
pretty close to it. Yeah.
including shipping.
Yeah.
So you're gonna lose money, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, screw it. I'm going to do the most disastrous, insane thing. Anyway, it will be fun.
No, I totally think that's like an awesome thing to do, and this is like one of those. Let's do a Perch promo for a second.
Why would I charge people for shitty art anyway?
This is like one of those. You know how you people like to say, "Look at me, I'm sticking it to these people."
Yeah.
Whoever these people might be. This is the comic book. You got it in for Marvel, Image, DC. Look, I got reasons why you should have it in for Image. These motherfuckers don't want to do any good stories for Marvel and DC because they ain't going to make any money out of it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you about Marvel and DC, these motherfuckers don't want to pay anybody for really good stories. But you know what? Perch wants to rip himself off. But if he should make some money off of this, compared to all these other MFers, including the people that charge $25 for shipping.
Oh, you've drank some beer.
Then holy cow.
Yeah.
Think of what that would say to people.
It will be.
Think of that. And I mean, like all the 16,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Like seriously, for once, if you're ever gonna do it, regardless if it's on Indiegogo or
we all
Kickstarter or a Patreon page, just buy the effing book and buy a physical copy because he'll have to ship it out. And think of all the work Perch will have to do. That'll be hilarious.
Yeah, make me do work. That is true. Yeah, I mean, but the problem is we know that at least 90% of the subs are Russian bots. So that's the problem.
Oh, well, I don't know what you pay for, but I just found out that on my Yule Carter channel, I have no subscribers as of today.
None.
Now, nobody go and subscribe to Yule Carter. We're only talking about Fantastic Comics, which does have subscribers. But all of a sudden today, I have 0 subscribers.
Oh, no. Yeah. Just a little reminder. There we go. By the way, some people in the chat, look, I have no issue with what Zach said. He did, as he said, he reached out and said, hey, I'm going to, be rough on your style. And I don't mind. He wasn't wrong. I'm not an artist, so I'm not offended. So it's totally fine. No worries. All good. Meanwhile, the Legion of Superheroes are battling a planet with chains around it. I mean, they're energy chains. So come on, Spawn fans. You got to be buying this fucking thing.
That's an awesome cover.
Yeah.
I dig it. Legion's going to be really cool in just a few minutes. So, might as well pick this one up too.
Yeah. All very good. I like this. Yeah, there's some good stuff. I
love DC covers. They
were great back in the day.
They're so quaint.
Yeah. Totally.
Not enough yellow, but that's okay. But man, this Brainiac. Remember when Brainiac first started off and there was those Gil Kane covers and Lex Luthor changed into that green costume? Boy, yeah. Those were the days.
It's good stuff. I love it. It's all good. All right. Do you remember when Tomb Raider was like the hottest selling book for like a couple of years?
I don't remember that it actually sold, but I do remember it coming out. And now the covers are so hot in the collector community. I wish I could purchase them myself.
Yeah.
If you have a Slab 9.8, holy cow, this cover by Jusko, who personally, I'm more of an Adam Hughes fan, not a Joe Jusko. Joe Jusko, that cover of Alien Legions he did back in the 80s, I think that ass was what created his entire career.
I agree. I completely agree.
Oh, but that Green Lantern, that was a spec book, let me tell you.
This is written by Jeff Thorne because Hal's getting tortured here, and they're about to remove his hand. So
you can't remove a Green Lantern's hand. That ring's protecting it, fool.
Yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Besides, Hal could find other places to put that ring.
That's right, he could.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what Joe Staten artwork, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't you do an interview with him?
I did an interview with Staten, and man, that one's awesome. By the way, Staten needs so much more love than he is. He's great.
Good. He's yeoman all the way. Think of your Leonard Kirks or your Kitsons, Barry Kitsons.
Yep.
Joe Staten's like a 70s version of him.
He did everything. I mean, I think that's what people don't. He's got a legitimate claim to say, like, I drew all the DC characters.
Oh, sure, and that's awesome. And he's good too. Like when I dog on someone, like I've dogged on Wes's show about Bob Hall. I'm looking at West Coast Avengers right there. Like Bob, again, we're talking. He's not Perch. And Bob Hall's great if you think of it that way. But
you're on brand.
Perch is, come on, Perch. Seriously, Joe Jusko, Bob Hall, way above him. But let's be real. When a person dies and you're saying how much of a legend they are, if they're Bob Hall, you really have to start considering what you're talking about.
Oh, Jesus.
And Joe Staten, man, yeoman all the way. I love his work, but is he bringing anybody to the story, or is it Green Lantern? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm just fucking around. I love Joe Staten. I hate Bob Hall, but I love Joe Staten.
I love the definitive view here. No, Joe Staten's great. First issue of it. This is back when Marvel would do a limited series and they would sell really well, and then they would keep going. And actually would turn into an ongoing series.
Oh my God, I know.
It's the opposite now, where it's we do an ongoing series, then we pretend it's a limited series when we cancel it in 3 issues. So,
do you remember when they were like, finally Wolverine got his own series?
Yeah. Those are so funny. People, the covers, finally. Actually, Wolverine had his limited series first.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, finally, Wolverine gets a limited series, and it's like today, like the bartender in the Madripoor bar would have a series that. Well, I mean, when are we getting the Blob bartender book? That's probably coming.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on like the new people. I'd rather like the thing is like when I'm making fun of old people, it's with love, and if I'm making fun of somebody new, it probably doesn't have that same.
Yeah.
Like Al Milgrom, like that's the easiest person to make fun of. Because like he totally didn't deserve his station, but at the same time, he made sure he had all the work to do,
Yeah.
But like, I got writing credit too.
See,
It's like, fuck you, Al Milgrom. But I read a lot more of his stuff than anybody else.
This is why we got to get back to a shop, because right now, if you were in Yule's shop, we'd be having this conversation and drinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love talking about the old timers, and again, it comes like if Joe Staten heard this and he was like, "Oh man, that guy's an asshole talking about me that way." Fuck you! I got all your goddamn Green Lantern issues. Trust me.
He would not.
Same thing with you, West Coast Avengers.
Do you know?
Actually, that was my buddy George, and we made fun of him. So
you've heard a lot of these interviews, though. The guys like Staten and Richard Case, and I mean, just some of these guys they're incredibly humble. They're like, I was okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Case was showing this page of like this insane, like detailed Sistine Chapel looking page, or no, it was the Cecilia de Familia, and it's like I know it doesn't look that good, and it's like fuck that it's incredible what these people are doing, and like Staten was the same way. It's like, well, yeah, I was all right. I did a few things okay. It's like you carried fucking DC for months. I mean,
dude, he did, man. He was there the whole. Man, when nobody read DC Comics, Joe Staten was freaking him and Kurt Swan and Jim Aparo were doing everything.
It is so funny. I mean, it's like you compare some of these people who are just absolute legends in comics, and they are the most humble people today. And it's. I mean, same thing when we did that Nancy Collins interview, and she's talking about the Swamp Thing run. She's like, I did a few things. It's like, fuck, you had a long run.
Man, she had a hard road to toe there, following some comic geniuses and Veach and more, and then all the artists also on top of it.
No, for sure. It's funny to me, but anyway, so. Hey, this was the week we got the DC Universe Rebirth.
Great issue.
Yeah.
That was the. I'm sorry for doing what we did to New 52.
It was this weird apology, that kind of comic that it was. Well, I don't know. It was very humble, and it was funny. It was refreshing. It was a good marketing approach at the time. Because they're like, we kind of fucked up, but come back and we got some comics here. And it felt so surprising. I remember saying, like, I wonder how long this is going to last. And as it turned out, about a year and a couple months.
What do you think is up with Jeff Johns? I mean, now he's doing Justice Society, but he's also doing that Image Geiger book, and he's on the outs with people in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that...
Maybe.
I love Jeff Johns. I mean... Not everything he's done is like the greatest thing ever, like some people want to think, but as far as people that like can bridge the gap between old and new, Jeff Johns is the guy for DC 100%.
I think so. I mean, I think he's very valuable for the company right now. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, and there's a lot of shifting around. And what's a little weird to me is, I don't know the best way to put it, but I keep seeing these interviews with people. Josh Williamson was the latest one where he's like, I'm very excited. Now we've got creative freedom to do everything we wanted to do. And it's not a fair comment on him because he's not doing these books. But then I look and we're getting like police state Gotham. And I'm like, is this really creative freedom? I'm like, Gotham's been police state Gotham like at least billion times in the last 2 years. It's a weird. The company seems odd right now. I don't know what's going on with Jeff Johns. Who knows?
I'm taking everything that, even Marvel, anything that DC and Marvel are putting out right now, if it's something that I really enjoy. So, case in point, Daniel Warren Johnson on Beta Ray Bill, or Mark Russell on Fantastic Four Life Story. Maybe the Spider-Man stuff that I'm reading right now, I'm enjoying. I definitely like the miniseries. I also like the main series. Like if I can stick with those for as long as possible and take with that what I can and ignore all the rest, it will be not unlike me buying something from another company, whether it be Image or Dark Horse or Oni or whatever. And I think about it as like I'm diversifying the comic books that I read, my portfolio. It's not all. It's finally, everybody. It's not all Marvel. Finally, it's not all DC. This might actually be the time where I like Jeff Johns, and he's going to be doing Justice League. He also does Geiger for Image, and there are other things to purchase that are out there. If you like Cantwell for whatever reason on Iron Man, then he's doing that other book, Blue Flame. It's going on for Vault.
Oh, wait, no, yeah, Blue Flame, yeah.
Hellcat, exactly. Yeah. There's other things to read from other people, and if you're, what I like to do when I go into comic store, and I like to say I have $25, and I want to spend $25, and I might go over a little bit depending on what I purchase, but if I don't purchase a lot of individual issues, what I'll do is I'll get a collection, so that I can spend that same amount of money all the time, because I know that there are comic books out there, like case in point, I'm looking at New Mutants right now. Get the Epic Collection that has this in it. Do you want to read the Secret Wars that has the first Spider-Man? Personally, Spider-Man beating up the X-Men was BS, and I think the issue 3. But that's just me personally, and I was kind of like poo-pooing Secret Wars all the way through. But if you want the first issue of Spider-Man getting the black costume, that costs hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands.
Yep.
You can get it in a collected form right now. And, there are these things to get. If something is not exciting you right now, just wait. There will be something coming out later. And in the meantime, there's something you can collect that will excite you. That's me.
I think that's well said. I like the Sienkiewicz Demon Bear stuff. I thought that was very good.
It's the best.
Why didn't, of all the characters, I would have loved for like Reed Richards just fucking murder the Red Ghost. Like this dumb with his stupid fucking animals. I hate this character. And even here, like you could see on Reed's face, he's like, why am I fucking putting up with this asshole again? It's like, just nobody, everybody would have given Reed a pass if he just would have killed him and the 3 damn monkeys. Like,
wasn't he like a Soviet guy? The Red Ghost. Yeah,
he was a Soviet guy and his 3 fucking monkeys that nobody gave a shit about.
Yeah, man. And not only that, when Heroes Reborn or Returned or whatever it was, they went straight back to a Red Ghost storyline too. That was pretty weird.
Yeah. I murder that character. I just fucking murder that character.
Can we make fun of Scott Lobdell just for a moment?
Sure, yeah, why not?
All right. That's it. Just me making fun of Scott Lobdell. Holy cow, Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
The title that kept going on. We're like, all right, finally the last issue of Spider-Woman. Oh no.
There's more.
There's more.
Yes.
I wish I had that issue right now.
Yeah, that's worth some money, actually. Yeah. I mean, not much, but some, right?
Oh, I bet it's worth a lot. I
don't think it's worth that much, actually.
All right. Well, 9.8 would be worth a lot.
That's a variant cover, so that may be worth more.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I mean, and there's Tarzan running around, and he's popular with the ladies. And
dude, Tarzan is is a wonderful comic book. If you read the DC comic books, they're all by Joe Kubert, and you know that's exactly what he wants to be doing. That and like Sergeant Rock or something like that.
Now hang on a second. Keeper Riley Johnson says that Nazi Cap killed the Red Ghost. Did that happen? Because if so, then good for Nick Spencer. He did the right thing. All of the Hydra Cap was justified there in killing that son of a bitch.
Do you hate Nazi Cap?
I did. I thought that was I actually did a video on this that will come out some month, where that idea, I heard the pitch for this idea before the book came out, and it was a good pitch. And the book did not, it was one of those, like, this is a good idea in theory that I think did not execute at all, like as intended.
It was like every issue was like Cap has to be a bad guy, but at the same time he has to do something good so that it doesn't look like he's being a total bad guy all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like for like 2 years.
It's funny. There's this whole interesting process where there's a lot of, and I'll bet Jeff's still in the chat, but I mean, this wouldn't be fair to get him to comment on, but it's there. I hear a lot of pitches over time from writers, and they're usually all at the idea stage, especially when you're drinking. They're all great, but many of them just, when you get to the execution part, it goes completely sideways, and that's true of a lot of runs lately. I mean, I'm sure I was not in the room, but I'm sure the Ten of Swords pitch sounded amazing, but.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe not. There's something that happened between like the hey, here's what we're gonna do, and then you see how it plays out, and it's like, well, that didn't go like you planned. I don't know.
They should have like in their Zoom meetings, they should have like Uber fan, and Uber fan that's negative all the time. Yeah, you know? So that they can like, that sounds horrible. Yeah, like I don't really have a problem with all these costumes and seeing the people that come in the store that are actually excited for this. Yeah, I think this is going to win out. I'm totally excited for this. But as far as like sitting down and reading every issue,
this is one of those where we should get Jeff and Zub and Murphy and a few other people and do this like a panel. And this would be one of like the perfect ones is what happened. Like you get the pitch and then maybe what the company needs in terms of timing, the different like, it's like, hey, I love your pitch, except the 3 main characters you're going to use can't be used. So here's 3 different ones to insert into it. And like, how does it get from point A to point B where it just goes, it just like at this point, it's not even your original pitch anymore.
Well, the thing is like, I feel like pitches, the rumor or the way they have recorded it, when they discussed killing Superman, it was one of those things where I just threw it out there and everybody was like, oh yeah, let's do that, that type of thing. Yep. And every pitch ever since then feels the same way. It's like, well, let's have a gala. Yeah, well, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. Well, wouldn't it be great if like none of the X-Men could possibly die, and Moira was the reason why all these different incarnations of the X-Men even exist in the first place?
Sure. Do you wonder? This is like this is fun speculation. This can ruin your weekend, everybody here in the chat. Just to kind of think about this. Like, at what point was like the Hellfire Gala? Was there an initial idea saying, "Hey, you know what we should do? We should have like a party where we announce this new team of X-Men, and then we'll get some crazy costumes, and there will be a murder there, and it will be if people will be having a good time, defenses will be down, and then there will be some kind of buddy gets murdered, and then we'll announce the new X-Men team, and it'll be cool, and that will be our issue." And then that's the initial pitch. And then somehow that gets from that idea to let's make it 12 issues and invite Eminem. Like, that's
sorry.
No, right? I mean, I just wonder, like, you could take almost all these ideas and you just wonder how they evolved. Like this is where, yeah, I want to. I want to interview Jerry Duggan, and I want to say, so what do you think? Like, how do we get? And in many cases, maybe people can't say, and that's fine. But you just wonder, like Jason Aaron was doing his War of the Realms thing, and at what point did it become, hey, Malekith is going to do some shenanigans here, to, hey, let's do whatever it was, 8-part limited series with 8,000 tie-ins, and this Venom will become a fucking sword, and like, at what point does it go weird? I don't know.
I just want to say that the greatest issue of Avengers ever, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that would have a problem with this, was Assistant Editor Month, when they had David Letterman in it. You got Hawkeye with his hearing impairment.
Yep.
You got them on the show defeating a villain who got created in that issue. And it's just one of the greatest nothing issues of all time. And you couldn't possibly have that if it wasn't for, I don't know, some corporate mandate to get something out there that basically what I'm saying is that, don't poo-poo that M&M appearance just yet. It may be possibly the greatest X-Men appearance of all time. And I love that David Letterman one, though. That comic is a grail for me. I want to get it in the most pristine condition of all time, even if I have to get it slabbed.
Yeah, okay.
It's written like David Letterman was in the comic book. I just love that one. The ready for primetime players is a pretty good issue also.
By the way, hello, Joe, and glad you could join us. Joe blew us off earlier, so that's no, I'm just kidding. He had good things to do. Joe helps me out with so many things on the channel. I mean, we have to be honest here. The majority of the subs and the good quality content are a result of Joe. I do all the filler that pumps it all up. But no,
I want to thank Joe also, if I can, really quick, for coming up last minute to talk about Red Room, even though you and Perch already did that. I had no idea.
You did it first.
Oh, well, it came out first.
But,
yeah.
That's all that counts, man. That's all that counts.
But I mean, I'm not really trying to pilfer your guests, you and Wes. It was just an instant where I thought it would actually work out.
You should. No, Joe is a very smart mind, and anybody you should definitely always get Joe on your channel for sure.
No, he's awesome, and let me know. Not only did I have to reorder a Red Room, and I had to reorder some of the other comics I talked about, I had to reorder Beckstar, and I sold out really quick. And of course, I have a friend called named Tyler Shaneline who did the beef. Yep. And one of the things I did was I let people know that by purchasing this book, you are actually helping my common law brother-in-law's children, my nephews, if you will.
Nice.
And it's the same way for Beckstar. If you come into my store and you buy Beckstar, you're helping my buddy Joe out, and I really appreciate it.
That's the right thing to do. I don't know. We definitely have to do more on the, like, where did the pitch go wrong, and some ideas that maybe they were good ideas at the time, like let's nail down Greg Brooks to be in Crimson Avenger, and then later you realize that that was a bad plan. Yeah,
it was a plan.
Yeah. That's going to go over the head of 99% of the people in chat, but that's okay. This week gave us Civil War II issue 0.
Oh, I sold it well. That's the best I can tell you about that.
Yeah. This that issue, I remember. I have this the theory, because I've done enough of the numbers to know where it's going. This event screwed up so many comics. The sales dropped significantly on almost everything.
It did, and I do subscribe to the idea that it really ruined the Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan character, and
sales prove it. I mean,
it just wasn't good. Carol looked bad. When you make Iron Man Tony Stark look like the hero of the story, you have screwed up somewhere.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
It was amazing how, and the outcome of this story was that Carol would be the most popular character in continuity and storylines. She was going to be the most popular character in the world.
Dude, she was using an Inhuman's power to foresee the future in order to punish people before they actually did the things that they were going to do.
Yeah. But this goes back to the pitch. Like, at what point, this is a Bendis book, and I mean, a number of people were involved. This is a big company line event, so none of the other books are going to spin out on this. And there's like, here's what we're going to do. Iron Man versus Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is using, pre-Justice, using this Inhuman kid. And we're going to jail people before they've committed crimes. But at the end, she's going to be the good guy. And by the way, we're going to, we're going to murder Rhodey and put She-Hulk in a coma and kill the Hulk. Like, what was going on in that room?
So, all right. So there is those elements. Like, if you're like, okay, She-Hulk goes in a coma and she's going to come out PTSD and have all this other stuff go on. Okay. I understand that. That's understandable. That's cool.
Yeah. You can
pitting heroes against each other. Again, going back to wrestling, this isn't something you want to do. Face is not the dynamic that you ever want to see. Heel, maybe, because someone's ultimately going to become a face in that situation. Yeah. But face is only hurting somebody. And that's what was happening with Iron Man and Captain Marvel. And the thing is that Captain Marvel and Iron Man and Captain America have years and years and years and years in history. But Captain Marvel and anybody doesn't, unless they're Wolverine, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that she was not only was she not the right character, to play it off of Civil War II, off of the first one where it was Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't work.
I think it would be fascinating to hear kind of the original pitch and then what came out the other end and kind of like where did this go sideways? But anyway.
Well, and you get the murder of Bruce Banner Hulk.
Yep. And the murder of Tony at the end, for that matter. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of weird stuff here.
Like, there's elements of it that I'm like, okay, well, if you told me that this was going to happen, that's something that I'm okay with.
So
that's interesting.
Bret Hart's Stone Cold work, but going into that, Bret was being billed as a face, and Stone Cold was being billed somewhat as a heel, and they did the swap during that.
Oh my god! So you're talking about WrestleMania? I can't remember what number, but greatest WrestleMania match of all time is what you're talking about, and it was the face turn to heel turn to face. The only thing is that Stone Cold keeps the outlaw face thing going, and it blurs the line. And you're seeing in comics a lot these days where there aren't people that are necessarily like Ms. Marvel. She can jail people depending on what Captain Marvel has gleaned from this Inhuman.
Yes, but it did very negatively affect almost every title that tied into it. And I haven't just gone through all the books. It may be all titles that tied into it suffered. Yeah. It was crazy. But there's George Perez on Changeling. That's cool.
Not only that, he was doing the regular series at the time.
Yeah.
Little Kid Yule wrote in when he thought Changeling was going to die to Deathstroke.
Now, did you write in asking for the character to be spanked?
No, but I was. No, I wasn't. I would have been okay if he got spanked, but he got a blast, a bow stick blast, electric blast to the chest, and I begged for his life to be spared, and that was. Thank God that never got printed.
Everybody who joined this show in the last 45 minutes that did not see the Lois Lane letter is thoroughly confused by what's
Oh, I'm so glad that none of my letters ever got printed in comic books. How
Oh,
embarrassing would that be?
that'd be great. I do like. I love this Batman cover. By the way, of just I like to your point earlier. DC had these great covers that you wondered what was going on. It gave you a lot of incentive to open up the book. And this was like, God, why is Alfred dropping his tea?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and word balloons on the cover are. Again, it's a thing that we look at now and we think, oh, that's so quaint that somebody will do something so retro.
Yeah.
But these covers were dynamic. Anywhere from probably like, I assume it was like the Infantino days going up to like the 80s. They were so dynamic and powerful and different than what the 90s brought us. And colors were more, I mean, in a way, they were more important. Not the paper or the quality like it happened in the 90s. But, again, I'm no artist. I have no idea. But
well, neither am I. So.
Yeah. Well, I hear you're a shit artist.
That's fucking
and
right,
that's what you get.
Yes.
But at least you could put the paper, get the image down on paper, so that's important.
You want to very quickly, well, it's not going to work, but the face heel thing, is there a simple way to explain that?
I do have an idea. Think of Spider-Man and how Peter Parker is in the movie.
Yeah.
And then think of how Doc Ock is in the comic book, and then think of how he is in the movie. Is he more sympathetic in the movie than he is in the comic book? And that's what the difference between a face and a heel is. You can have things that are believable that make you understand where the heel is coming from. But if you are a face, you are totally against every aspect of that. There can't be, it's the difference between Professor Freeze in the Bruce Timm cartoon and how we really feel for him. You can't do that with Doc Ock. He's a piece of shit. Doc Ock has to always be that way.
Yeah.
And if he isn't anymore, then you've changed that character from being a face to a heel. And there's also areas of gray. That's where Stone Cold comes in. He's the kind of guy that will beat up an authority figure.
He's a tweener, is what he is.
Yeah, exactly. He's a tweener.
Yeah.
And he gets away with doing bad guy things to good guy people, but you can't do that all the time. You have to have your superheroes be superheroic. That's why you don't want Spider-Man shooting a gun. You know what I mean? You don't want Batman shooting a gun.
Can't do the
It can happen from time to time.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't.
It's by the way, absolutely loved the Harleen series you did. So thank you very much. I enjoyed that.
Are you talking about Steven Subchik?
Yes. Yeah.
He is a fantastic illustrator.
Yes, he's the opposite of me. He's very good.
He almost saved Rat Queens.
Okay, well, that's a whole different conversation.
Oh, you stay on Rat Queens, Steven.
I love the composition of his pages. Absolutely incredible.
He's great. I'm assuming it's all digital, but as far as digital artists are concerned, aces all the way.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you get actual creators in here. Because they can hear my bullshit about them.
That's great. Yeah.
Take this, Eric Canetti.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to interview you anytime if you ever feel the desire. That'd be great because you've got a great story to tell. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm always pleased when people come in here and spend some time chatting with us. I mean, as I think Jeff summed it up well. I know Joe has done the same thing. It's this would be like late night comic book chat, having a drink, and that's just what we're trying to do. So, yeah, that's right. It's very good. I think we're though at the end. Yes, we are. This is a real cover, by the way. What was the idea here? Do you think? Well, I mean, the fish is just biting her butt.
I'll have you know that Stephen Hughes was a wonderful illustrator and a wonderful human being that I got to meet for a few minutes one day. And he would never approve of this. I have no idea if he really would. I'm just joking.
Yes. Comic books are incredible in like the pure insanity of which, you can, you got to be kidding me. You can find easily throughout there's just no shortage of crazy letters printed in DC Comics asking for Lois to be spanked more, to like, it's all through the years. It's all in there. There's so much crazy crap that is there that you can
and even more so, Kurt Busiek talking about how much he did not like the Dark Phoenix saga storyline.
That's true.
That's an incredible letter to have to read, and I highly recommend it.
Yes, anyway, we got a lot of good stuff. We got interviews, got numbers, all this kind of fun. More interviews. I see. I was probably drinking when I wrote this. This was last night. I was having tequila. I love, by the way, margaritas with tons of jalapenos in them are wonderful. Have you ever tried that?
No, I haven't. I got to admit, I'm pretty white when it comes to spicy things.
Oh, okay.
So fruity margaritas are more my strawberry is where I'm usually rocking.
No. Strawberry. Okay. Well.
Yeah, I know. I had a friend. The comic store owner of the guy I worked for a minute was named Tony Love. This was in Southern California. And I ordered a strawberry margarita, and he was not impressed.
No. not even a little bit. Well, jalapenos in your margaritas, they're wonderful.
All right.
I would give that a shot. But hey, I wanted to thank Yoel Carter for coming on the Fantastic Comics channel on YouTube. Please go subscribe. Pass the word around. He needs more subs, and because then he can post his community comments.
That's right. I'm not looking for money from YouTube. I'm kind of like Perch in that regard. I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is imparting like a few minutes of wisdom on people out there that might not know about what I'm talking about. And maybe from a comic store owner's point of view. And not only that, I have a theme song, and I don't think anybody else does out there when it comes to comic stores out there. So there's another reason to subscribe to Fantastic Comics. But
yes,
I love Perch, and if you love Perch, you should subscribe. Yeah,
that's subscribe to Yoel.
That's right. Oh no, not Yoel. I have no subscribers on my channel right now. Just Fantastic Comics.
Fantastic Comics. Yes. Well, we had a great time. This is fun. There's a spirit of comics and drinks. More drinks and comics really tonight. This was the kind of crazy shit that Superman would do to Lois back in the day. Right here. This is a crazy era. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Had a great time. If you got here late, catch the replay. That way you'll understand why we're talking about spanking so much. Yeah, it is.
Oh, well, we didn't even get into charity. That'll have to be another time.
That's another time. At which, by the way, he is still pumping out comics. No,
he sure is. And just to let you know, I'll be carrying them at my store.
Good for you.
Yeah, among other things, but that's a tale for another time.
All right, we will do it. Thanks everybody for coming. And if you want to like, go ahead. And if not, I don't know that it matters. It's YouTube, so you can do what you want. Subscribe to Yoel. Thanks everybody.